Humanity's last stand is a complete disaster. The defenders are being slaughtered in a truly brutal fashion. Is this how it all ends? But just when all hope seems lost, a cataclysmic explosion rips through the battlefield. Who could possibly wield such power? In the chaos, two titans clash with furious might. One is a hero, but the other is, hold up. Is he our main character? The white-haired warrior seems desperate, his glowing red eyes burning with intensity. But can he actually win this fight? The fight is a brutal ballet of destruction. Seriously, writer, did you just want an excuse to draw some epic sparks? But the horned warrior is a beast, repelling the attack with a powerful block. It seems this fight is far from over. Not to be outdone, the white-haired warrior immediately counters with a ruthless slash that glows with white-hot, furious energy. Boom! A direct hit. The strike results in a horrific explosion that completely obliterates the horned warrior. Is he truly defeated? The victor slams his sword into the ground, a classic I'm the main character pose. Folks, meet Aids, the Empire's strongest swordsman. Even Aids has to give his opponent some props. He thinks, incredible. As expected of the Knight of Hell, the Death Knight. Speaking of our Death Knight, he makes a rough landing. His helmet is completely shattered on impact. That's gotta hurt. But with the helmet gone, a shocking reveal. The fearsome Death Knight is just a guy with long, pretty hair. He groans, and a single red eye glows menacingly. Okay, maybe he's not so harmless. That look is pure terror. But then, suddenly, the red eye is gone. It's replaced by a normal human eye, wide with shock. What is going on? He stands alone amidst the smoldering ruins. He helped conquer the city, but now he seems completely lost and confused. Suddenly, a wicked voice crackles with glee, revealing his plan to bring this cursed empire to its knees. Who is this guy? This is the Archlich Dorgo, and he is overjoyed about his 1,000-year plan finally succeeding. Get a load of this guy. The defeated king, his face stained with tears, screams back in defiance, absolutely furious about the massacre of his people. Dorgo just smirks, finding the king's desperation amusing, and flashes a finger heart. He cuts the king right off. Are you done talking? Shall we proceed with the coronation now? Since he unified the continent for the first time in history, he thinks being called emperor is a fair trade. Cue the peace sign like someone who just binge-watched K-pop Demon Hunters. As the old emperor chokes in despair, Dorgo addresses his commanders, including the mysterious and silent Death Knight. He gestures with an open hand, giving his final order with a grim look. Hand, bring the imperial crown to me. The Death Knight, flanked by other demon kings, steps forward to present the crown. But what is he thinking? Dorgo praises his most loyal knight for his role in their victory. How should I reward you? He asks. The Death Knight says nothing, his glowing red eyes fixed on the Archlich. The silence is absolutely deafening. Dorgo scoffs, that was a foolish question. You are my slave. Serving me is the greatest reward of all. What a great boss. But then, the crown stops midair, and bam, a strike splits the air, shattering the crown. Enraged by this sudden defiance, Dorgo unleashes a pulse of red energy, trying to force his slave back under his control. The other demon kings spring into action, getting ready to attack their former comrade. The team meeting is officially over, folks. Dorgo trembles with rage and disbelief, in a complete panic. How did he harm me? He screams, utterly confused. The knight looks up, his will finally his own. Finally, I'm moving by my own will. His eyes are now glowing a brilliant blue-green. Dorgo is stunned. What are you saying? I erased your consciousness completely. The knight replies, it only looked that way. I never really disappeared. Then he reveals the horrifying truth. I was watching everything while I was trapped inside my own body. That is a special kind of nightmare. Dorgo actually seems impressed. Truly, you are my greatest masterpiece. For your achievements, I'll allow you to vent your anger just this once. The demon kings charge forward to subdue the knight, but he just unleashes a terrifying burst of purple energy. Get wrecked. Dorgo can only watch in shock. My demon kings were taken out in a single strike? Yes, my dude. They got one-shotted. In that case, done playing games, Dorgo raises his hands and summons his true army of the undead. An endless legion of skeletons and ghouls charges forward. It is a literal tidal wave of death aimed at our lone knight. Facing this overwhelming horde, the knight just stands his ground and smirks. Stop. A crushing wave of purple energy radiates from him. Surrender, all of you. The entire undead army freezes, their bodies cracking under the immense pressure. Dorgo is sweating, trembling in disbelief. This can't be happening. Oh, but it is, my friend. It absolutely is. He finally realizes his fatal error. I've created a monster equal to the gods. You think? Changing tactics again, Dorgo tries to reason with him. I see, you must be furious. I understand. I'd feel the same. But it is a complete bluff. He reveals his trump card. Even if this body is destroyed, I'll just transfer my soul and regain control of you. The knight remains totally unimpressed. For all those long years I was trapped, I thought of nothing else other than how to kill you." Before Dorgo can even react, the knight charges, his body wreathed in a brilliant blue aura. He moves like a missile. He reveals his ultimate countermeasure. "To kill you, I created a sword technique that severs even the soul." Dorgo panics, thinking there is no way a soul-severing technique could exist. He tries to dodge, but it is far too late. Before he can even finish that thought, the Death Knight blasts right through him. For a second, Dorgo thinks he is fine. He even lets out a relieved chuckle. Of course, a technique like that could never... His words are cut short as he vomits a colossal amount of dark energy that opens up a hole in the sky, imploding in a brilliant flash of light. Famous last words. The last bits of dark energy escape Dorgo and his eyes fade to nothing. All that is left of the mighty Archlich is his skull, which clatters onto the dusty ground. The Death Knight looks down on it and says, "Go to hell." Then he crushes it under his boot. "No respawns for you, K-pop Dorgo." From the rubble, the defeated king watches in total disbelief, wondering what on earth is even happening anymore. His long quest complete, the Death Knight collapses to his knees, utterly spent. It's finally over, he sighs. But he has one last thing he needs to do. He needs to apologize, even if it means meeting them in death. A memory surfaces of the horrible acts he was forced to commit, which included killing his own family. He just wants to tell them he is sorry. With his vengeance complete, he drives his sword through his own heart. As his life fades, he hears familiar voices calling. Everything goes white, and he hears a woman's voice. He opens his eyes to see her face, thinking it's a vision. Thank goodness he gets to meet her before he heads down to hell. But wait, she looks much younger. She teases him, then tells him to hurry inside. Has he been, wait for it, reincarnated? He watches her walk towards their family mansion, and his blood runs cold. He remembers destroying this very place himself. He looks at his human hands, wondering if this is a dream. Or was his life as a Death Knight the dream? He spots a stick on the ground and an idea begins to form. He is about to find out just how real this all is. He picks it up and faces a large boulder, feeling that it will be the perfect test subject for his theory. He takes his stance and swings with all his might, and the stick just snaps harmlessly against the rock. Well, that's anticlimactic. He is shocked for a moment, but then a huge, insane grin spreads across his face. Because a second later, the entire boulder cracks and then explodes into a million pieces around him. Delayed damage is the best damage. He cannot help it. He just throws his head back and lets out a wild, ecstatic laugh, collapsing to his knees. As the rain starts to fall, the truth finally hits him. This is not a dream. He has really truly returned to the past with all his powers intact. We get into a flashback with our protagonist getting absolutely roasted for his life choices. His dad is just screaming his head off. "You've truly gone insane. How much more does our family's honor need to be tarnished because of you?" Then another dude bursts in, totally panicked. "Brother, why did you hit the young master of Lion Bloom March?" "Oh, so that's what he did. And our boy's reason for all this drama?" He thinks to himself, "Because of you, sister." Classic. Blame it on the sister. The tragic backstory montage continues, flashing to his poor sister weeping in a carriage as she's dragged away. Yikes. Next up on the failure parade, his mom grabs his arm, crying. "Damien, just why did you borrow money with the family's land as collateral?" "Dude, you did what?" The full weight of his screw-ups finally hits him, and Dad's voice echoes in his head with one simple word. "Leave." So he leaves, but not before we get a shot of his dad, completely broken and slumped over his desk. "Artist, you're really laying on the guilt trip here." But wait, his sister stops him on the way out. "Damien, at least take this money." She's trying to be supportive, but all he can think is, sister, even though your life was ruined because of me, my guy, the self-pity is off the charts. And in a peak moment of teenage angst, he slaps the money away and just bolts. What a hero. He runs until he collapses, finally understanding what guilt feels like. "Took you long enough, buddy?" And then poof, he's back. Kneeling in a field, he's wondering, how did I come back to the past? Welcome to the Isekai Club, my friend. He remembers his last wish was just to say sorry. He never expected to actually get a do-over. He looks up at the sky and asks the big question. Is this a divine miracle? He flexes his hand and realizes something is off. As I thought. At this time, it was tough to even use a technique like this. He came back with cheats enabled. He remembers a skill called wave breaking, a busted technique that amps up his power. Seems a little overpowered, writer. And how did he get this epic loot? By killing a dude known as the Castle Wall Destroyer. Of course he did. Suddenly, a voice snaps him out of his power-up montage. Goodness gracious, young master, it's a family servant, totally out of breath. Damien struggles to remember his name, Victor? Victor confirms it and immediately starts panicking. Lady Louise told you to return. The patriarch is absolutely furious. But Damien, with his newfound I've seen the future's coolness, just asks, what did I do? This poor servant is so confused. While Damien plays dumb, a furious shout of "you bastard" erupts from the family mansion. Someone's in trouble. And bam! We're back in the main hall with his dad coming at him with a sword. Talk about a warm welcome. The sword stops right in front of his face. His mom and sister are desperately holding Dad back while he screams. And Damien has a moment of clarity. So I return back to this moment. Meanwhile, his dad is still trying to break free, vowing to break his skull. His sister is pleading for calm, but Damien is just soaking it all in. Like he's watching a movie. He's literally thinking, how long has it been since I got scolded by father? And he looks at his family, Paul, Marilda, and Louise. The whole gang's here. A wave of emotion hits him. I miss this so much. His family just stares at him, completely baffled. Yeah, I would be too. Then they see a tear roll down his cheek. His dad is like, is he crying? And his sister just whispers his name. His dad tries to get his composure back and demands, ahem, yes, what excuses do you have this time? If you have a mouth, speak. But Damien's reply is a total curveball. I have none. His dad is completely stunned. He was not ready for that one. Dad can't process it. He is so used to the excuses. Damien even admits to himself, I was aware, but hearing you say that hurts. He stands tall and takes full responsibility. I sullied the honor of the Haxon V's County with my mistake. It is completely my fault, with no room for excuses. Just as his father is about to dismiss him, Damien cuts in. I will make up for it. He takes a step forward, full of purpose. I will fix the mistakes I have made. He turns to leave but pauses at the door with a confident smirk. Afterwards, I will be punished properly when I return. Okay, Chad mode activated. His family is just left standing there, mouths open. They're probably wondering if he hit his head a little too hard. A little later, Damien and Victor arrive at the Merchant City landwork. Time to fix mistake number 1. Victor is understandably nervous. Will you really go in? There are rumors that the syndicate supports them. I'm worried something bad might happen. Damien tells him to head back if he's scared, but Victor is a loyal boy. Pardon? I can't do that. If you're going, how could I escape myself? With a reassuring smile, Damien says, don't worry, I will sincerely apologize and make up for what I did properly. As Damien walks off alone, Victor can only pray this doesn't end in disaster. Spoiler alert, my friend, it probably will. He still has no idea how he got this second chance, but he is treating it like a gift from the gods. And this time, he is determined not to hurt his family again. A noble goal. With this newfound resolve, he walks right up to the enemy's front door, ready to rewrite his past. Let's see how this goes. Damien waltzes right into the syndicate's turf, and of course a couple of goons spot him immediately. These guys are not exactly friendly. Hey noble boy, one sneers. Why are you back? We warned you not to show your face a second time. Damien tries to remember these goons, but it's been a while. The memory is a little fuzzy, but he is trying the diplomacy route first. I want to apologize to the owner for what I did last time. The thugs are stunned for a second before one just bursts out laughing. A sudden apology? That's hilarious. He scoffs at the noble act. But fine, it's unexpected, so I'll tell the boss for you. The thug thinks to himself, I heard he was the roughneck eldest son of a bad family, but I guess he's better than I thought. But then his buddy chimes in with a real classy comment. I heard that the lady of the family is a rare beauty. Oh, wrong thing to say, dude. That is all it takes. The thug grabs Damien by the collar. Hey, young master, I suddenly want to accept your apology. If you introduce that pretty sister of yours to me, I'll accept it, he sneers, while his friend licks a knife. Seriously, artist, did you have to draw that? Damien's head drops. This is so hard, he thinks. Yeah, the just apologize plan is not going well. And snap. In a flash, he snatches the knife. He thinks, I thought I could do it, but I think I overestimated myself. You think? The thug starts screaming, what nonsense are you yapping? But he does not get to finish that thought. Because faster than you can blink, Damien slices the guy's arm clean off. Blood sprays everywhere as the goon just stares at his own stump. The thug lets out a massive scream and collapses in a puddle of his own making. Well, that escalated quickly. Damien turns to the other guy, who is now terrified. Since you want it, I will show you properly what the Haxon Viscountcy's roughneck eldest son is truly like. A demonic aura just flares up around him. His psycho mode is officially on. Meanwhile, poor Victor is watching from a safe distance, absolutely horrified. Why, young master? He peeks around the corner and just screams in terror. I thought you were going to make things right. A blood-curdling scream echoes through the streets. Naturally, this gets everyone's attention. And look, it's Victor, already stressing about his young masters. Get used to that face, folks. Down on the street, our boy Damien is standing over some poor goon while another one threatens him with a sword. Just a standard Tuesday. But Damien, he's acting all cool like he's not about to get turned into a kebab. He just tells the guy to get on with it. The nerve on this kid. The thug gets all puffed up, roaring about how nobody messes with his crew, the Black Snake. Ooh, scary. Did they come up with that in middle school? But that name, Black Snake, it actually rings a bell for Damien. The gears are turning in that traumatized little head of his. Oh yeah, he remembers them now. The Black Snake. Turns out there's some big shot criminal group trying to take over the area around this time. Classic bad guy stuff. And how did this all start? Our guy complained about an overpriced bar tab. That's it. That's the whole reason. For that, they gave him a free beatdown and humiliated him in public. Not exactly his proudest moment, let's be real. And now, in the present, it hits him. Wait a minute. He's the one who should be getting an apology here. You know what? He's not wrong. And there it is, folks. The psycho smirk. Even the thug is like, why is he smiling? This is where things get good. The thug decides to ignore the creepy smile and just go for it, vowing to teach this noble a lesson. He charges forward, swinging his sword down with a mighty roar. But whoops! Damien just sidesteps, trips him, and even steals the guy's dagger mid-fall. That's just disrespectful. And thud! The dude faceplants right into the dirt. That had to hurt. Damien grabs him by the hair, and look at those eyes, they're glowing. Artist, you are getting way too good at drawing unhinged protagonists. He whispers some crazy stuff about how killing them all isn't enough, but he'll endure it for his family. Dude, what? And just like that, slash, he takes out both thugs, leaving them whimpering on the ground. Problem solved? Or is it? He barely catches his breath when, of course, more show up. It's like a video game with endless enemy waves. The new boss man is suspicious, asking if Damien's from a rival gang. Seems like a reasonable question. Damien, cool as a cucumber, says he came to apologize, but now he's here to file a complaint with the owner. Sir, this is not a Wendy's. The leader is not having any of it. He's like, if you won't talk, we'll just beat you up. And he sicks his goons on our boy. As 3 more guys charge him, Damien just sighs. This is bothersome, he thinks. The absolute arrogance. I love it. Hef. That's the sound of someone who is completely over this entire situation. And in a total blur, Damien just weaves through them like a deadly dancer. Dodge, parry, strike. He dodges a final swing, and just like that, the fight is over in seconds. The leader is just standing there, jaw on the floor, absolutely shook. Meanwhile, his men are scattered across the ground, screaming about their fresh new wounds. A total disaster for the Black Snake crew. But our boy is already panting. He admits this new body is still pretty weak. See, he got nerfed in this timeline. He asks the terrified leader if he wants to go next. The guy immediately tries to surrender, all smiles and apologies. But Damien is fresh out of mercy. He rushes forward, face hidden in shadow, ready to deliver the final blow. Crunch. A single, devastating punch sends the leader flying backwards. The guy's body literally crashes through the doors of the bar right in front of all the customers. Talk about making an entrance. The dazed thug looks up, completely wrecked. Damien casually notes that he might have gone a little too hard. Yeah, think? Damien appears in the doorway, all shadowed and menacing. That's why you should have listened when I was being nice. Chills, my friend. Chills. He drags the body inside and everyone scrambles to get out. Smart move, people. Very smart move. Soon the bar is empty. Now the nuisances are gone, he says. The absolute edge on this guy is off the charts. And right on cue, a voice from the second floor. What's with all the noise? Meet the manager, Anderson home. Damien just looks up and says, oh, the guards outside? Yeah, I dealt with them. The owner is completely stunned. He's shocked this kid took out his men and demands to know who he is. He's about to find out he messed with the wrong protagonist. So Damien introduces himself, Damien Haxon of the Haxon Viscounty. A name Anderson recognizes, but not for the right reasons. He explains he's not here for a fight, he's here for an apology. A very, very overdue apology. He reminds the owner how his men beat him up over a bar tab, which completely ruined his reputation. Because of that one incident, he was branded a troublemaker and his entire family lost everything. Now his eyes are glowing with fury. Payback time. But does Anderson care about lost honor? Nope, not one bit. He just scoffs, saying the Haxon family has no honor left to lose anyway. Ouch. That's a low blow. You foolish noble, he taunts. He tells Damien to stop playing around and pay for the damages. This guy has a death wish, I swear. And there's that psycho smile again. Damien says, I see. I was going to forgive you if you just apologized. But if this is how you want to play, then so be it. Famous last words for our friend Anderson, I think. And then whoosh, he leaps from the ground floor straight to the balcony to attack the shocked owner. Full send. You too shall pay for what you said, he declares, reaching out with pure menace. His eyes are glowing a strange purple as he closes in for the strike. This is not going to be pretty. He rushes forward to attack, but his punch is suddenly intercepted by a mysterious figure in a burst of blue energy. The force of the block sends him flying back. Even he's surprised by the sheer power he just felt. He lands perfectly on his feet, staring up at the newcomer. A new challenger has entered the ring. Anderson is all smug now. Ooh, Sir Ted, you made it just in time. So his name is Ted. Not very intimidating, but okay. Damien knows this is weird. A guy this strong shouldn't be a simple hired guard. The math isn't mathing. So tell me, Damien asks, His eyes narrowed. Why is a knight in a place like this? And we see him, Sir Ted, in full armor with glowing red eyes. Alright folks, get this. In this world, knights are everything, and they're ranked by how good they are at swinging a sword. You've got your trainees, your apprentice knights, and the real big shots, the official knights. Official knights are on another level. They can use aura, a power so crazy they're basically considered gods walking around, slicing through monsters and castle walls like it's nothing. And back at the bar, our villain of the week, Anderson, is having a total meltdown, laughing like a complete maniac. He's bragging that Sir Ted here is an apprentice knight, the supposed boss of the Black Snake crew. He sneers, "You guys are as good as dead now. Oh, we're so scared." But down on the main floor, Damien is just looking up at them like, "Hey, he's an apprentice knight, you say?" The absolute disrespect. A little smirk plays on his lips. Of course, that explains the teeny tiny bit of aura he sensed earlier. Our boy is just built different. Sir Ted is completely floored. How in the world could this kid sense his power when he wasn't even properly using it? And Damien, our little Sherlock Holmes, puts it all together. The only reason a knight would be working in a dump like this is because he's a total washout. Anderson tries to pay Ted to take Damien out, but Ted is way too busy being triggered by Damien's complete lack of respect. He growls, "We'll talk about money later," before launching himself off the balcony. "First, I'm gonna tear apart that mouth of his." But Damien? Not even a flinch. He just casually parries the attack with his little knife. A knife, people. Clang! The impact of steel on steel sends a shockwave right through the tavern floor, shattering the boards. Sir Ted lands, looking pretty surprised by Damien's strength. He's thinking, okay, this kid is actually pretty skilled for an apprentice. So, he decides to stop playing around. His eyes glow with a nasty blue light as he unleashes a powerful slash. Whoosh! Damien slides back from the sheer force of the blow. He realizes his new squishy human body is already hitting its limits. Time to grind that stamina stat. You brat. Ted is absolutely fuming now, his anger boiling over. Let's see if you can dodge this. A massive torrent of blue aura erupts from his body. My friend, he is charging up a secret technique. Damien's eyes widen. He recognizes that move. He thinks that's a secret technique. And bam, we get a flashback. We're seeing Damien's past life as the legendary Phantom Assassin. This guy looks edgy. The assassin smirks, his red eyes glowing. If I were to kill all the humans, there wouldn't be any fun left in this world. Okay, you can call the FBI on this guy. He confronts a demonic-looking warrior who Damien recognizes as his own past self, the Death Knight. Well, this is awkward. Just shut up and get out of here if you don't want to die, the assassin warns. But the Death Knight just stands there, not moving an inch. Clearly annoyed, the assassin sighs. I guess that's another one I need to kill. You asked for death, so I shall show you my secret technique. The assassin explains that once you hit a certain level, you can literally see the water that makes up a person's body. Writer, are you serious right now? With his secret technique, Blade of Death, he slices the Death Knight clean in half, and he did it with a wooden sword. A wooden sword. But to the assassin's absolute horror, the bloody remains on the ground start to bubble and reform. Uh-oh. How? I sliced you in half. The assassin stares, unable to believe his eyes as the horrifying truth dawns on him. Don't tell me you're an undead. Before the assassin can even react, the fully reformed Death Knight unleashes his own terrifying aura. And in the ultimate Uno reverse card moment, the Death Knight perfectly mimics the assassin's own move, the Blade of Death. How did you use my secret technique? The assassin screams, his face a perfect mask of pure terror. He got completely outplayed. And a moment later, he's dead. Back in the present, it's Sir Ted lying on the tavern floor, impaled by his own attack. Damien remembers it all. After becoming a Death Knight, this was the terrifying new power he gained. The ability to absorb his enemy's skills and make them his own. Basically, he's a walking skill thief, totally balanced. Up on the balcony, Anderson is completely stunned, trembling in absolute fear at the sight of his dead knight. Without a second's hesitation, he throws himself to the floor, groveling, "I'm sorry for dishonoring you, the great Haxon." Damien glances over a chest full of treasure. "Would this be enough to make up for what I've done?" he asks, cold as ice. He only wanted an apology, but hey, free loot is free loot. It's not enough, but I guess I could let it slide. He then calls for his servant Victor to come and pack up all the treasure. Victor peeks out from his hiding spot, eyes wide with shock, before scrambling to obey his completely psycho young master. As he packs the gold, Victor's mind is racing. He cannot believe what he just saw. When did Damien learn sword techniques like that? Anderson and his men are bowing deeply as Damien and Victor leave, but you can see the bar owner is secretly seething. "I'll make sure I get it all back from you, brat," he mutters, already planning to report this to the Black Snake's real boss. Suddenly, a blade flashes past his head, slicing his ear clean off. Damien's cold eyes glare back at him. "Go tell this to the Black Snake. If you lay a hand on any of my family, I won't let you get away with it." Anderson can only clutch his bleeding head and curse Damien's name as our boy just walks away. What a Chad move. As they walk into the sunset, Damien knows this single act won't wash away all of his past sins. A bit of self-reflection from our resident psycho. But in this new life, he's determined not to disappoint his family ever again. He smiles and says, "Let's go home, Victor." Meanwhile, at the ridiculously grand Lion Bloom March estate, things are getting weird. A young man whispers to his brother, "Have you heard this phrase? Pain always follows love." What? His brother looks at him in a mirror. "What are you talking about? Making that serious face, are you going to a battle somewhere?" "No," the man replies with a sly, confident smirk. "I'm going to find love." "My friend, that sounds ominous as heck." The morning after a good old-fashioned beatdown. Damien wakes up at the Hoxton estate feeling refreshed for the first time in, well, probably ever. His loyal servant Victor, however, looks like he just saw a ghost. He's so jealous of Damien's good sleep, admitting he was wide awake with worry all night. Damien just gives him this smug little smirk. He's like, "Yeah, things went a little sideways, but hey, they still got some serious loot out of it." But here's the real 4D chess move. He explains that now, rumors will spread that messing with the Hoxton family is a very, very bad idea. He even adds this should fix his whole good-for-nothing son reputation. Victor is just stunned, thinking, "Wait, you actually knew people called you that?" But Victor, our resident worrywart, is still freaking out. He reminds Damien that he didn't just beat up some thugs, but an apprentice knight from the Black Snake gang. Damien just waves it off like he's shooing a fly, confident the gang wouldn't dare mess with a noble, and even if they do, he says, "I'll stop them. Easy." And you know what? Victor kinda believes him. Damien's sword skills were just that insane. He finally has to ask, "So, young master, when did you learn to do that?" Damien just plays it cool, saying he trained from time to time. "Yeah, right." Victor's face says it all, my friend. He is not buying a single word of that. But before he can press for more details, a furious voice echoes down the hall, roaring, "Damien! Oh look, it's Dad!" And he looks ready to commit a felony. Paul Haxon charges at him like a freight train, screaming, "You brat, where were you?" He grabs Damien by the collar, demanding to know what trouble he's in now, while his wife Marilda begs him to calm down. Classic family drama. But our boy is as cool as a cucumber. "Don't worry, father. I took care of it. Victor, show him the goods. This guy's smoothness is criminal." Victor opens his pack and bam! A mountain of glittering gold coins and a land deed spill out. Mom and Dad's jaws hit the floor so hard they probably left a dent. And here comes the lie of the century. Damien claims there was a math errors at the tavern, and this was an apology gift. Now they can pay their overdue wages. So smooth. His father is still skeptical, but Marilda, bless her heart, points out there's no other way he could have gotten it. I mean, it's not like he's competent, right? Oh wait. Then Damien, this absolute menace, puts poor Victor on the spot. "If you don't believe me, ask Victor. He was there. Isn't that right?" He even gives him a wink. After a moment that felt like an eternity, a sweating Victor finally agrees. Convinced, his parents are just overcome with joy and relief. Victor just looks on, thinking, "Young master," while Damien cracks a genuine smile. See, he's not a complete psychopath, just mostly. Later, Damien is back to grinding, but his stamina bar is still pathetic. He quickly realizes this new body is just way too weak. "Artist, my man, you made him a real weakling." "Thankfully, I managed to get this," he says, pulling out a small vial of glowing purple liquid. "Ooh, a potion. Did we find some rare loot?" He flashes back to the terrified bar owner Anderson, practically begging him to take it. Turns out it's a rare tonic from the Alchemy Academy for boosting stamina. These things are apparently traded at the same price as gemstones, so yeah, he got incredibly lucky. Our boy's luck stat is clearly maxed out. Without a second thought, he chugs the whole thing. Kaboom! A massive surge of purple energy erupts around him as he yells, "This stuff's potent." He clenches his fist, feeling the instant power-up. To get stronger, he knows he needs to build his stamina first. Time for some serious training. His main quest, after all, is to return to the overpowered level he had in his past life as the Death Knight. We love a good comeback story. His thoughts immediately turn to the big bad Dorgo. In just a few years, that clown's undead army is going to pop up like a bad ad. Before that happens, he thinks, his face all scrunched up with rage. "I have to gain the strength to kill him." "You get him, Tiger." Only then, he vows, will he be able to protect his family's happiness. See, he's got a soft spot buried under all that murder intent. Filled with new resolve, he takes off running again, screaming into the wind, "This time I'll kill you for sure, Dorgo. My man is dedicated." Meanwhile, over at the Black Snake's hideout, the vibe is less than cheerful. We're getting some serious villain lair energy here, folks. Inside, the boss learns that Ted, the knight Damien nerfed, is basically useless now. "What a shame," he says. "He was the best man we hired. So cold." The boss, Cedric Walker, just coldly orders his men to dump the body somewhere. This guy has the emotional range of a brick. He's no use to them anymore, so who cares? They can always just buy another mercenary with enough cash. Capitalism, am I right? But just as they're about to drag him out, guess who's back on his feet? It's Ted using his sword as a crutch. This dude is resilient. Cedric mockingly offers to get him treated and maybe even rehire him. Oh, that was the wrong thing to say. The absolute worst thing. With a furious roar, Ted goes full berserker mode and lunges at his old boss, screaming, "Screw you, you bastard." But before his sword can even connect, swoosh, a shadowy force erupts from the ground and restrains him midair. What in the world was that? A mysterious cloaked figure steps out of the darkness. And they ask, can he be the first target for our contract? Uh-oh. Of course, the figure replies. Let's see what you can do. Poor Ted struggles and screams, but he's completely trapped. The figure mutters an incantation and the shadows writhe, transforming into horrifying one-eyed monsters. Artist, you seriously need to chill with these designs. Ted can only scream for mercy as the creatures literally start eating him, leaving nothing but a crumpled heap on the floor. Yikes. The cloaked figure just clears their throat. How disgusting. Cedric mutters, looking like he's about to lose his lunch. The figure asks, are you satisfied? Yeah, Cedric replies, but next time, make it a little cleaner. A little cleaner? My friend, the man was just eaten by shadows. So the mysterious Shadowmancer asks for their next job. The Black Snake's boss explains that some noble brat messed with them and needs to be handled. But he doesn't just want a hit. With this disgusting grin, he clarifies the real mission: make the targets suffer. The more damage they cause, the bigger the payday. To seal the deal, the boss hands over a hefty bag of coin as an advance payment. Money talks, I guess. The cloaked figure accepts with a terrifying stitched-up smile and glowing purple eyes. Leave this to me, they promise. Well, this just got interesting. Our boy Damien starts his day the usual way, drenched in sweat from some seriously intense training. He's been grinding like this for days, just non-stop sit-ups with what looks like a giant rock strapped to his back. And would you look at that? The sketchy power-up juice he bought is actually working. His stamina stats have gone through the roof. But even with all this newfound power, something feels wrong. It has been just a little too quiet for his liking. He was fully expecting the Black Snake gang to roll up for round 2 by now. So where are they? And speak of the devil. Right on cue, he hears a suspicious rustle coming from the bushes nearby. His paranoia immediately kicks into overdrive. He clenches his fist, ready to throw down. Those Black Snake goons. With zero hesitation, he spins around and bam! He lands a brutal punch on whoever was sneaking up on him. But when he actually gets a good look at the person he just decked, oh boy, he has made a terrible mistake. It's his little brother Abel, who is currently choking and trying not to pass out on the spot. Damien quickly lets go, and poor Abel just crumples to the ground. Family reunions are rough in this house. Abel coughs. Wow, you've gotten strong, brother. He sounds like he's just happy his neck is still attached. This triggers a dark flashback for Damien, a memory of Abel lying dead on the floor in his past life. He snaps back to the present, looking absolutely horrified. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. But Abel is not in the mood for apologies. He completely slaps his hand away. I'm not here for your apology, Abel says, and his tone is ice cold. Uh-oh. He says their dad told him about Damien getting an apology, but he also heard that Damien got into a massive fight. There's no way you did that by yourself, Abel accuses. Are you lying to our family now? But Damien just gives him this calm, knowing smile. No, it's true. That was all me. Abel completely loses it. Don't lie to me. You can't even fight. You can fool the others, but not me. He gets right in Damien's face, lecturing him about bringing shame to the family and all the messes they've cleaned up. Damien, completely unbothered, just casually catches Abel's hand, stopping his little rant cold. He then ruffles his hair like nothing happened. Abel is shocked by his strength, screaming, "Let go, your hands won't budge." Damien just smiles. Don't worry, he says. Nothing bad will happen now. Famous last words, my friend. And right on cue, Victor comes sprinting towards them in a full-blown panic. Young masters, bad news. Bad news. The two brothers don't even hesitate. They bolt inside, bursting through the doors like a SWAT team. Inside, they find their parents sitting with a very unwelcome guest. Oh, this is not good. The guest just calmly sips his tea. Oh, you're here? He says, completely nonchalant about the whole thing. He introduces himself, saying he was just telling their father all about the little incident at the banquet hall. Damien's eyes narrow. Oh, you snake. So I've already messed with you, have I? Folks, meet Erwin Lion Bloom, the man who ruined his sister's life. And Damien remembers every single detail. Time for a flashback. We're at a fancy party and an enraged Damien confronts him. What did you just say? Erwin plays dumb. I meant nothing by it. My apologies if you were offended. But Damien isn't buying it. You dishonored my sister. Erwin just smirks, blaming it on being drunk. Then he drops the act completely, leaning in with this twisted, evil grin. So what if I did? he whispers mockingly. You retard, what a piece of work this guy is. And Damien remembers his big mistake from the past. He completely fell for the bait. He lost his cool and wham, sent Erwin flying with a single furious punch. The punch left a pretty nasty bruise right on Erwin's smug face, which he totally deserved. Back in the present, Erwin is finishing his sob story. He finds it odd that a future knight could get hit so easily. Now what should we do? He asks, before revealing his real plan. You see, I have always admired Miss Louise. Damien's father has no idea where this is going and asks him to get straight to the point. Please allow it, Erwin says with the creepiest smile I have ever seen. The marriage between me and Louise. And just like that, the entire room goes into absolute shock. You could hear a pin drop. Damien's blood runs cold. It's happening all over again. Erwin is using his family's weakness to blackmail them. He offers to make the whole assault problem go away if they just agree to his little proposal. But Damien's father, Paul, shuts him down hard. We can't do that. And just like that, Erwin's friendly mask disappears. The smile is gone, replaced by a cold glare. Paul explains that Louise is already engaged, but Erwin just scoffs, asking if they can really afford to anger his family. He lays out the choice very clearly. They can either pay the price for insulting him, or they can choose him. The ultimate power move from this absolute creep. Paul is completely trapped. The Lion Bloom family is way too powerful, but he can't sacrifice his daughter to this snake. But just as he's about to answer, a calm voice cuts in from the doorway. I will accept that offer. It's Louise, and her family is absolutely horrified. Louise, what are you saying? Her father cries. Abel joins in, pointing at Damien. Just wait. Why do you have to fix what he did? Damien can only stare at the floor, completely defeated. Sister, but Louise just smiles gently. I am okay. I will go with Sir Erwin. And you can see Damien's heart just break. Erwin, meanwhile, can barely contain his disgusting glee. Excellent. Miss Louise, you are truly a wise woman, he says, getting up from the couch to leave. What a slimeball. He promises to send a formal marriage request soon so they can work out all the little details. But on his way out, he makes one last stop, right in front of a seething Damien. Got anything to say, Damien? He taunts. Or should I just call you brother-in-law? Louise can see the storm brewing and calls out his name, but Damien just mutters something under his breath. What was that? I can't hear you. Erwin leans in, mocking him one last time, and that was a huge mistake. Because as the punch connects, Damien remembers his past. He remembers thinking that he should not have fallen for the trap. But my friends, this time is different. As Erwin hits the floor, Damien stands over him, his fists still extended. A true Chad moment. No, you jerk, he declares, his eyes burning with pure resolve. You can't have her. We're getting the classic tragic flashback, starting the day his sister Louise brought this clown home. Back then, our boy Damien was just a happy kid, so excited to see his big sis. Look at him, so innocent. He peeks around the corner, ready to give her a big hug and say how much he missed her. And that's when his whole world just implodes. Artist, you love these dramatic eye shots, don't you? He sees Erwin, the supposed gentleman, grabbing his sister by the hair. What a piece of work. Erwin calls her family insects and gets all possessive. Bro, red flags are waving everywhere. Then he just throws her to the ground. And he has the nerve to call her my love? The audacity. He even puts on gloves talking about educating her. This guy is a full-blown villain. And poor little Damien can only watch, completely powerless. All he can do is clench his tiny fist. He finally bursts in, but he's just frozen in shock. Erwin looks surprised to be caught, but instead of fighting, he just collapses, blaming himself. Man, our boy was pretty useless back then. His inner monologue is just pure rage. He's screaming that he'll never forgive this guy. Classic shonen power-up fuel. And now we're back to the present, where he's finally getting his payback. You love to see it. The whole family is just standing there, completely speechless. Their jaws are on the floor with Erwin. Of course, all that noise attracts Erwin's personal goon squad, who come running to see what's up. They barge in and find their precious young master on the ground. The horror. And what's their first reaction? Pull swords on Damien, of course. Did you hurt him? Yeah, look at him. But Erwin starts getting up, laughing like a maniac. You can tell he's completely unhinged. He grabs his sword, seething about getting punched in the face twice. His ego is more bruised than his cheek. Mom and Dad Haxon are watching in pure terror as Erwin actually draws his sword. This just escalated. He's radiating some serious killing intent. You must want to die, he says. Chill, dude. It was just a punch. Even his own guards are like, whoa, boss, maybe calm down. They know he's about to do something stupid. But Erwin is not having it. He just snarls at them to move. He's on a full-blown power trip. One of the guards tries to be the hero, offering to take care of Damien himself. Noble but dumb. And for his trouble, Erwin just backhands his own guy across the room. Talk about a bad boss. With his fist glowing, he repeats, "I said move." Okay, we get it, you're angry. Meanwhile, Abel and Louise are just watching this horror show unfold. This family dinner went south fast. He stalks towards Damien, asking how he plans to resolve this. "My friend, I think fists already did the resolving." Louise, terrified her brother is about to get sliced and diced, finally steps in to try and stop them. But Damien puts a stop to that. "Not this time, sis." He tells her he's got this, and that she needs to stop sacrificing herself. Oh, our boy is finally growing a spine. Then he turns to Erwin and hits him with the ultimate challenge. "Let's duel." The classic trope, I love it. Damien lays out the terms. If Erwin wins, he gets what he wants. If Damien wins, Erwin has to just drop it. Erwin scoffs, saying there's nothing in it for him since Louise already agreed. He's got a point, but he's also a jerk. So Damien hits him with the ultimate playground taunt. "What, are you scared you'll lose to me?" And it works perfectly. You can see the gears turning in Erwin's head. He thinks this is a great excuse to legally beat up Damien. With a supervillain grin, he accepts. He's already planning to cripple Damien and drag his sister away. Charming guy. And so the stage is set in the courtyard. The two families are about to watch a pay-per-view beatdown. Damien's parents are freaking out, but Dad decides to trust his son's newfound confidence. He's basically praying for a miracle. But big brother Abel is the voice of reason here. He tells his dad to not get his hopes up because Erwin is an actual official knight. The duel begins, and Erwin mockingly asks what Damien plans to fight with. You know, since he doesn't have a sword, and Damien just smirks, pulling out a dinner fork. He says, "This is enough for you." The absolute disrespect, I love it. Erwin is just speechless. "A fork," he says. "My friend, you and me both." The Haxon family is looking on like their son has completely lost his mind. And honestly, fair enough. After a second of pure shock, Erwin just bursts out laughing. He cannot believe this. He's totally convinced Damien has gone insane from fear. He's not wrong to think that, but he's about to be proven wrong. He declares he won't go easy on him and lunges forward with some serious speed. Here we go. He swings, and whoop, Damien just casually sidesteps it like it's nothing. Erwin is completely stunned. He actually dodged? Yes, my guy, keep up. Okay, playtime's over. Erwin decides to whip out his family's signature move. The big guns are coming out. He unleashes the fierce roaring lion sword. A giant energy lion comes roaring at Damien. Writer, you are not subtle with these attack names. The attack misses and just carves a massive trench in the family's backyard. Hope they have good insurance. But when the dust settles, Damien is just standing there, totally fine, still holding that ridiculous fork. Erwin and his goons are losing their minds. How is he okay? What is even happening right now? Then it hits him. Damien didn't just get lucky, he perfectly dodged every single intricate part of the attack. Damien knows he's got him rattled. Sure, his training helped, but the real cheat code is that he's already seen this all before. See, in his past life, he fought Erwin's older brother, Michael. This is like a boss rush on easy mode for him. And compared to his big bro, Erwin is just pathetically weak. Our boy is looking at him like he's a tutorial-level enemy. Erwin, convinced it was a fluke, powers up again. This time he's adding aura to his strikes, daring Damien to dodge. He lunges forward, totally sure that this attack is impossible to dodge. Famous last words, my friend. Damien just calmly assesses the attack and decides to pull out the sword saint technique. With a fork. Boom! A huge explosion of energy erupts from the clash, stunning everyone watching. Abel and Louise are just staring in total shock. They have absolutely no idea what is going on with their little brother. Erwin's sword is stopped cold just inches from Damien's face. It's just frozen in midair. He looks down, completely baffled. What? He thinks. His glowing red eyes are a nice touch, artist. Because somehow Damien has blocked his super-powered, aura-infused sword with a single dinner fork. And now, it's Damien's turn. He unleashes his own secret move. Countless Thunder Shadow Revelation. Seriously, who names these things? With a blue flash in his eye, he goes in for the final blow. He even says goodbye. How dramatic. And just like that, it's over. The fork that everyone laughed at is now pressed right against Erwin's throat. Checkmate. And with one final savage move, our boy Damien lunges forward with a dinner fork. Yelling, "Bye." The fork presses right into Erwin's throat, stopping him cold. A literal dinner fork, my friends. The whole family is just frozen, their jaws hitting the floor. I mean, what do you even do in this situation? Even Erwin's personal knight is just standing there screaming his head off. A little late for that, buddy. A drop of blood trickles down his neck. Yep, our psycho protagonist actually drew blood, with a fork. And Erwin just completely loses it. He lets out this pathetic little scream and collapses to the ground like a sack of potatoes. Damien is thinking that killing this scum a dozen times wouldn't be enough. Okay, psycho? But for his family's sake, he'll let it slide, for now. He calmly declares the duel is over. I think we have a winner. You don't have a problem with that, right? Then, with pure ice in his voice, he tells Erwin, now, as you promised, get lost. The next day, the family breakfast is super awkward. You could cut the tension with a knife or a fork, I guess. Damien just finishes his meal like nothing happened, thanks them, and announces he's off to his morning training. Total Chad move. And just like that, he's gone, leaving his entire family to just marinate in the weirdness. His mom, Marilda, finally breaks the silence. She turns to her husband, Paul, asking if he's going to question Damien about what just happened. She points out that even his brother Abel is totally freaked out, muttering about how Damien changed overnight. But Paul shuts it down firmly. Stop. Let's not press him. He'll tell us when the time comes. Spoken like a true leader, right? Except not really. Internally, he admits he's curious, but the problem is, he's absolutely terrified of his own son. Meanwhile, Damien is getting ready for his training montage, strapping 10-kilogram sandbags to his legs. You know, standard protagonist stuff. But just as he's about to head out, his sister Louise calls out to him, looking super relieved that he's still there. She starts to bring up what happened, but Damien immediately cuts her off, thinking he's in trouble and needs to apologize. And he gives this super deep, formal bow. I'm sorry, sis. I acted recklessly and put you in a difficult position. But she immediately stops him. No, it's not that, she says. And then she just says, thank you. She confesses that while she said she'd go with Erwin, deep down she was terrified and her heart was screaming no the whole time. Damien just listens, the realization dawning on him. His sister never wanted to go through with it. She recalls the moment he stepped up and decked Erwin. She felt sorry for him getting into trouble, but also incredibly glad. With tears welling up in her eyes, she smiles and says it one more time. Thank you, Damien. A gentle smile forms on Damien's face. It's me who should be saying thank you for all this time, sis. But before he can take off, Louise calls out again. Right, Damien, take this. She hands him a short sword, explaining, it's father's one and only favorite item. He told me to give it to you for your training. She adds that their father isn't good at expressing himself, but he really does love him a lot. A classic Tundera dad. Then, channeling their dad perfectly, she adds, you're from a Viz County, so make sure you never use a fork instead of a sword again. Damien unsheathes the gleaming blade, a look of pure satisfaction on his face as he silently thanks his father. New loot acquired. Miles away, Paul lets out a sudden, massive sneeze, wondering what that was all about. You know the trope, my friends. But later that night, the mood shifts. Under the full moon, a sinister purple shadow creeps across the grounds of the Haxon estate. The guards at the gate are, of course, completely useless. One of them is even yawning on the job. Great security. The shadow gathers right behind them, and a single glowing purple eye opens within the darkness. Okay, that's not good. In an instant, the guards are silently swallowed by the shadows. Then a cloaked figure materializes inside the gate. Well, so much for the guards. This intruder moves like a ghost through the silent halls of the mansion, their shadow stretching ominously down the corridor. The entire family is sound asleep, completely unaware of the danger that has just slipped into their home. This is fine. The assassin finally reaches their target, Louise's bedroom. Of course, it's Louise's bedroom. The cloaked figure looms over her bed. And look who it is. The stitch-faced assassin from the Black Snake Gang. Artist, you need to chill with these character designs. Quite a beauty, he chuckles, thinking he got lucky on this job as he reaches for her. Okay, this guy is maximum creep. But just as he's about to grab her, hey. A voice from the doorway makes the assassin freeze on the spot. It's Damien, leaning against the frame with his new blade, his eyes glowing a menacing red. What in the world are you doing? Oh, this guy is about to get nerfed. Damien stands ready, confronting a cloaked intruder in his sister's room. With glowing red eyes, he asks, what are you doing? He explains he sensed some weird energy and found this suspicious guy looming over his sleeping sister. Totally not creepy at all. The assassin is internally freaking out. His sleep spell was supposed to knock out the whole mansion. How is this tiny kid still awake? Wasting no time, the assassin panics and launches a massive blast of dark purple magic straight at our boy. But Damien just casually bats the attack away with his sword like it's a pesky fly. The disrespect is real, folks. The assassin is completely stunned. You little punk, who in the world are you? He demands, his confidence shattered. Damien just turns the question right back at him. That's my line. This is my house, you know? Yeah, Damien confirms, his eyes glowing with that signature psycho mode menace. Now tell me who you are and what you just did to my sister. The explosion alerts the entire household. As servants start shouting, the assassin realizes his stealth mission is a total failure. He clicks his tongue in annoyance. He knows he has to make a run for it before the whole welcome committee shows up. He decides to bail, dissolving into a cloud of shadow. But Damien isn't letting him go that easily, shouting, "Stop right there." The assassin yeets himself out the window, transforming into a shadowy, gooey creature and flying off into the night. Okay, that's a new one. Damien curses, thinking the guy got away. But then he spots it. The intruder left behind a small wisp of dark energy. Rookie mistake. The energy latches onto his sleeve, giving him a magical little GPS tracker to follow. This is gonna be fun. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the estate, the servants are in a full-blown panic. Something is very, very wrong. They've discovered that the Viscount's prized horse is dead in the stables. This is definitely not good for their annual performance review. They are terrified, wondering how they're going to explain this. The horse was perfectly fine just yesterday. Suddenly, Damien appears behind them like a ghost. I did have a bad feeling, he says calmly, startling the poor guys. He tells them to chill out, saying he won't blame them and just needs to check something. Just lend me the room for a bit. Damien places a hand on the dead horse and realizes the energy trail he was following led him right to this spot. No doubt about it, he thinks. This eerie energy is definitely dark mana. So our intruder was a dark mage. We've been new, buddy. He glances back at the house and decides not to worry his family with this info. Because why tell them a dark mage is after them, right? The trail of dark mana leads him away from the estate and into a super creepy looking cave. A classic villain lair if I've ever seen one. Inside, the dark mage is cackling to himself in his brand new fully stocked evil laboratory. Look at all that loot. He's gloating about how he scammed the Black Snake boss for all these materials which he plans to use for his own twisted experiments. He whines about how far he's fallen, but with the church hunting him, he didn't have much of a choice. A classic villain sob story. As he decides to lay low for a while, he's startled by an unfamiliar presence stepping into his hideout. Whoops. He got startled as someone remarks, "Who? What a stench." He turns to find Damien at the entrance, who quips, "How about cracking a window?" The mage is stunned, stammering, He recognizes him immediately. "You're the eldest son of Viscount Haxon, the one from yesterday. How did you find this place?" the mage demands. Damien coolly replies, "I followed the stench you left behind. Absolute savage." The mage is impressed despite himself. He'd heard rumors about Damien, but he sees now that he's no mere reckless brat. Damien cuts to the chase, confirming the mage was hired by Black Snake to harm his family. The mage just casually admits it. "How pathetic," Damien scoffs. "You took on that kind of job and now you're about to die for it?" The mage just laughs. "You're an amusing one. If I capture and torture you, you'll make a fine pet." Famous last words, buddy. "Sorry, that won't be happening," Damien says flatly. He explains he made a promise not to kill anyone in this life. However, the exception is filthy dark mages like you. Ah, there's the psycho protagonist we all know and love. Loopholes. The mage is shocked. "You know that too? Guess you're no ordinary punk." "Yeah, no kidding, Sherlock." Panicking, the mage unleashes a flurry of magic orbs, screaming for Damien to just die already. A classic panic spam. But Damien is insanely fast, dodging the attack and closing the distance in the blink of an eye. The mage is not having a good day. With a single fluid motion, Damien slices the mage's shadowy form clean in two. And that's that, or is it? But it's not over. Damien watches as the mage's body begins to reassemble, recognizing the regeneration trick from the mansion. The mage reforms, cackling madly. "That kind of attack won't do anything to me," he just had to say it. "Then I'll just cut you down until there's nothing left." Damien retorts, his aura flaring as he manifests a storm of spectral swords. "Let's go." The mage parries the attack. "Not bad," he admits. "Seems like your name's been floating around lately for a reason. But still." The dark mage then calmly states, "The moment you walked in here of your own will, you were already dead." The mage just laughs, revealing his trap. He's cast spells all over the cave, and now dozens of shrieking shadow monsters erupt from the ground. Damien looks around, realizing the situation just got a lot more complicated. That bead of sweat says it all. The mage unleashes a powerful curse, a terrifying spectral face forming as he screams, "Your whole body shall now rot and die." The dark mage goes full villain mode, unleashing a swirling vortex of purple energy. He even screams the curse out loud, just so you know he really means for your whole body to rot and die. This sinister magic just writhes around inside the cave like an angry space noodle, getting ready to pounce. The mage smirks at Damien, hitting him with the classic villain monologue. He calls him an arrogant brat and says he's shortened his own life. Look at this guy, already counting his gold before the job is even done. He's thinking about that fat paycheck, completely sure he's already won. But our boy Damien is just standing there totally unfazed. He's like, "Oh, a decomposing type curse? How quaint." And the mage absolutely loses it. He's sputtering, asking how in the world Damien is just standing there without melting into a puddle. He demands an explanation, but Damien just gives him that cool, mysterious protagonist look. You know the one. Then boom, a glowing rune appears on Damien's hand. He realizes he still has his special authorities from his past life. The plot thickens. Alright folks, hold on, we're getting a flashback. We see the big bad arch-lich Dorgo doing some spooky ritual over an urn. Dorgo looks down at his little project, the future Death Knight. He thinks a strong body and magic just is not enough for his ultimate weapon. So he proclaims, "Therefore I shall also give you this power." This guy really loves the sound of his own skeletal voice, does not he? And then, whoosh, he unleashes this massive beam of pure concentrated power, the special sauce to create his ultimate weapon. It's what's called authority. This incredible power slams into the kneeling warrior, engulfing him in a vortex of raw energy. This looks like it hurts. Yeah, it definitely hurts. The guy is screaming in agony as the power is forcibly fused into his very soul. Ouch. Meanwhile, Dorgo just watches with this creepy, satisfied look on his face. He's like, "Finally, I have obtained it. My dude, what did you obtain?" The warrior rises, completely transformed with glowing purple eyes. He now possesses the authority of God. That sounds a little overpowered, writer. Back in the present, Damien stares at the same sigil. He thought he lost this authority of greed when he regressed, but surprise, it is back. The mage, still clueless, fires another blast. But Damien just casually kicks it away like a soccer ball. The mage is completely baffled. He is shouting, asking how Damien is still standing. "Read the room, my guy." Damien just smirks, saying everyone has a trump card. Then a system window pops up that literally says plot armor. The artist is having way too much fun with this. He remembers the mage is from Yulan, a whole organization of dark magic assassins, basically the edgy kids club. Damien thinks to himself, no wonder he was that skilled. Yep, that explains the try-hard attitude. The mage finally senses that something is very wrong. He decides it is time to stop messing around and end this. He announces he is using a secret trump card he was saving for the church. Damien's face just screams, "I am not impressed." The mage activates a bracelet on his wrist and bam! A massive pillar of green energy erupts from him. His power level skyrockets as he taps into the artifact's stored energy. It is like a magical power bank, and of course Damien instantly recognizes it. He is like, ah, an artifact that stores dark mana. This guy knows his loot drops. The mage summons a giant beast made of green hellfire, screaming that there is no way Damien can handle it. We will see about that. He roars, "Burn and die in hellfire," and launches his giant green fire puppy at Damien. The attack explodes, engulfing the entire area in a massive green inferno. It looks pretty final. Convinced he has won, the mage starts laughing like a maniac. He is going on about eternal hellfire. Classic villain mistake. But wait, a voice comes from the flames. It is Damien, saying, "You have gravely misunderstood something. Chills, my friend, chills." The mage's jaw hits the floor. He cannot believe his eyes. The fire is doing what now? Damien is just standing there as the hellfire gets sucked into his body. His authority does not just block magic, it eats it for breakfast. The mage is completely terrified now. He is screaming about how a punk like Damien could have such a broken, overpowered ability. Damien basically tells him to mind his own business. Just think of it as a serious gear gap, buddy. Now he is preparing to strike. He is actually mad that he has to use this power from his hated enemy Dorgo. But hey, a win is a win, right? The mage sees Damien's sword light up with a blue aura and starts to panic. He recognizes it as an aura blades, a swordmaster technique. But Damien is not waiting around. He unleashes his signature move from his past life, the soul-severing slashes. The attack hits the mage head-on. Look at his face, frozen in pure terror. Artist, you really captured the oh no moment here. His body is completely obliterated. The attack tears right through him and half the cave. Talk about overkill. And with that, the threat is eliminated. Damien stands alone in the dark, looking cool with his crackling energy sword. What a show-off. Well, it looks like someone's having a bad day. The dark mage is down for the count, coughing up blood and buried under a pile of rocks. And here comes our hero Damien with a sword to the guy's throat, offering a deal. Tell him where the black snake is and he'll make it quick. So generous. Oh, you know it's serious when the eyes start glowing purple. Artist, you really love this effect, don't you? Damien is not messing around. Alright, scene change. Sometime later, we're rolling into the bustling merchant city of Landwork. Looks like a nice place for a vacation. Inside the carriage, poor Victor is having a breakdown. He's like, "Young master, why in the world are we back in Landwork?" Damien just tells him to chill out. But Victor's looking at that book like it's about to sprout legs and bite him. And honestly, same here. So Victor, bless his heart, has to ask, "What in the world are you reading, boss?" And Damien, with the biggest, most cheerful smile, says, "Oh, this old thing? It's just a dark magic grimoire I got recently." Yeah, he just casually mentions he got it as some rare loot after ending the previous owner's subscription to life. Victor's not having it. He's like, "Dude, even I know you don't just find those things lying around. They're super dangerous." But then he catches a whiff of something funky. What is that smell? It ain't cologne, that's for sure. And then it hits him. The smell? Oh no. It's not coming from the book. Perfect timing, the carriage stops. Damien's all cheerful about it, announcing, "We're here." They hop out, and now Damien is holding this very questionable sack. It's lumpy, it's stained, and it definitely smells. He hands the sack to Victor, who's probably regretting every life choice he's ever made. "What is this?" he asks, already afraid of the answer. And Damien, completely deadpan, just says, "A person's head." "My man, what is wrong with you?" Victor absolutely loses it, yelling that some jokes are just not funny. "You think, Victor?" He takes one tiny peek inside, and yup, an eye is staring right back at him. That's gonna be a hefty therapy bill. And yeet. He throws that thing like a hot potato. But Damien catches it like it's a baseball. He tells Victor to calm down before he makes a scene. "Dude, you're the one holding a head in a bag." Damien pockets something and says he'll explain it all later. But right now, Victor has a mission, whether he likes it or not. His job? Deliver the head and the creepy book. It's like the worst Uber Eats order in history. Damien says this is the only way to stay out of trouble. My friend, look at Victor's face. He is the very definition of in trouble. And where is this special delivery going? To a giant, evil-looking tower with a snake on it. Totally not suspicious at all. This is the Black Snake's main base. So Damien just strolls right up to the front door. The two guards on duty look up like they've just seen a ghost. The goons try to act tough, asking who he is. Meanwhile, Damien is just judging their tacky headquarters. Seriously, who designed this place? He gives them the full, fancy title. "I am Damien Haxon of the Haxon Viscounty." Put some respect on his name. And what do? They make fun of his name. "Oh, you guys are gonna regret that. Big time." But then Eyepatch Guy's single brain cell finally fires up. He's like, "Wait a minute, the boss warned us about this dude." Damien just crosses his arms, all cool and collected. "Yep, that's me. I have business with your boss, so move it." And surprise, the guard just waves him in. Even Damien is a little confused by how easy that was. And it's a trap. Of course it's a trap. The other goon pulls out a freaking pirate pistol. Bam. He shoots a flare into the sky. The universal signal for we're about to get wrecked, send help. And Damien? He just watches it go up. Not a single worry in the world. This guy is either a total Chad or a complete idiot. Yet Patch gets all smug about it. "Did you really think we'd just let you pass?" "Yes, my dude, that is exactly what you just said." Suddenly, the rooftops are crawling with more bad guys. Damien plays dumb, asking, "What did you do?" as if he didn't see the giant red flare. The whole street is now a mosh pit of armed thugs. Looks like the entire guild showed up for the welcome party. But Damien just smirks. He pulls out a little red pouch and hits them with the classic, "You'll regret it." Meanwhile, some very important people are having a very nice corrupt dinner. This is Governor Sebastian Baker, living his best life and thanking the Black Snake's boss Cedric for the party. And over here we have Sir Robert, a real credit to the knights already calling for another drink. Cedric, the big boss, just sits there soaking it all in as the governor butters him up. Then Cedric drops his master plan. It's time for the Black Snake to pull a hostile takeover on all the other guilds. The governor is like, "Ooh, I like the sound of that, but won't the other guys complain?" And with a greedy look that could curdle milk, the governor boasts, "Don't worry, I'll just shut them up with my authority." What a great guy. Then he turns to Sir Robert, thanking him for doing such a great job protecting the city. Right. Cedric lays it on thick, telling Robert he's just too humble. It's a tough job being a guard in a city this safe. And the knight is just eating it up, blushing like a schoolgirl. This is just sad, my friends. As these two buffoons get wasted, Cedric just smirks to himself. He's playing them like a fiddle. But that smile is pure evil. He's thinking, soon I won't have to bow to these idiots anymore. His plan is simple. The Black Snake is going to take over this whole city. Artist, give us the dramatic evil snake shot. And when he's in charge, these guys will be bowing to him. Look at that psycho grin. Good lord. But just as he's enjoying his evil thoughts, one of his goons bursts in, totally panicked. Cedric is annoyed. "Can't you see I'm busy scheming?" But the guy insists it's an emergency. So he steps outside to see what all the fuss is about. Probably shouldn't leave the corrupt officials alone with the booze. The goon starts whispering frantically in his ear, and you can just see the color drain from Cedric's face. "What? Damien Haxon?" He yells it so loud the whole party stops. So much for being discreet. He's furious, probably wondering how that mage he hired could have failed so badly. But hey, at least he had a backup plan. He tells his guy not to worry. "He walked right into our trap. He came here to die." Famous last words, buddy. Speaking of which, back at the square, Damien is just chilling while surrounded by 100 angry dudes with swords. And then boom, Damien goes Super Saiyan, unleashing a massive wave of purple energy. Here we go. The artist is having a field day with these glowing eye shots. Damien looks absolutely unhinged right now. And just like that, the entire mob gets blasted away. It's a total wipeout, not even a challenge. The whole square is littered with bodies. Damien's just thinking to himself, well, that was a little messier than I expected. But wait, the fight isn't over yet. A new challenger has entered the arena. 3 cloaked figures land with a thud, and they are radiating some seriously bad vibes. These guys look like final bosses. The leader's eyes glow white, and he says someone owes him a favor. Uh-oh, who are these guys and what do they want? Up in his fancy tower, Black Snake's boss, Cedric, gets that spidey sense tingle. He peeks over the edge and oh boy, his jaw hits the floor. Down below, the entire courtyard is just a sea of his knocked out goons. And who's standing in the middle? Our boy Damien Haxon, looking like he just cleared a dungeon solo. Cedric is absolutely losing it. He is like, wait, is not this the Viscount's useless son? The rumors said he was a nobody, but this guy is clearly a one-man wrecking crew. The panic really sets in when he realizes his hired dark mage is probably toast too. Yep, this is way above his pay grade. Time to nope out of there and call for backup. But of course the fight's not over. We have got 3 mystery figures on the roof ready for round 2. One of them calls Damien a monster and whips out a glowing magical orb. And boom, he launches a massive fireball right at Damien's face. The mage is laughing, asking if he is really going to block fire with a sword. But Damien has got that main character energy, unleashing his ultimate move, Countless Thunder Shadow Revelation. His attack just swallows the fireball whole and completely atomizes the guys on the roof. Damien just stands there amidst the crispy remains thinking, alright, job's done here. He turns to leave, ready to go find the final boss. But suddenly, his danger sense goes off. An attack is coming from behind. Bam. A huge armored dude smashes a warhammer right where Damien was standing. The power coming off this guy is so intense it is making even our psycho protagonist sweat. Damien sizes him up instantly. This is not just another goon. Judging by that powerful aura, he has to be an official knight. And what do you know, the knight did not come alone. He brought the city guard with him. The situation just went from bad to worse. Just then, the governor of Landworks, Sebastian Baker, storms in. He is screaming his head off, blaming Damien for all the chaos and vowing to punish him. And get this, the governor calls Cedric a kind businessman and his goons innocent employees. It is so ridiculous that even the crowd is whispering about how corrupt he is. Cedric is smirking, thinking he is totally safe now. But Damien is not having it. He just points right at him and says, "You are the boss, right? Get over here and get punched." Damien openly roasts the governor for his terrible judgment, calling Cedric a pile of trash. The governor demands he beg for forgiveness, but Damien just scoffs, saying he did nothing wrong. The governor has had enough. He screams for his knight, Sir Robert, to take care of business. The giant of a man steps forward, ready to throw down. Robert, the city's guardian knight, tells Damien to surrender. He is a little confused by Damien's total lack of fear, wondering if he is brave or just an idiot. Damien's answer is short and sweet. I am confident. And he says it with the cockiest smirk you have ever seen. But on the inside, our boy knows this is going to be tough. He is just pretending to be calm. His new plan is to just stall for time and wait for the perfect moment. Robert charges and their weapons clash with a massive kaboom. The sheer force of the blow sends Damien flying backwards. His arm is literally crackling with energy from that one hit. He is grimacing, nervously looking around. Where is my backup? He is probably thinking. Just as Robert lunges for the finishing blow, a voice rings out, "Where are you looking?" And a blur of motion intercepts the attack. This new person stops Robert's giant axe with a single hand. Then they just casually toss the huge weapon away like a sack of potatoes, shattering the ground where it lands. Everyone is just stunned into silence. Robert struggles to his feet, completely in disbelief, and demands to know who this person is. A hand begins to glow with holy power. It is a woman with white hair decked out in incredible armor. Robert's eyes go wide. Impossible, he thinks. A paladin? The paladin turns to Damien and calls him young master. Our boy just sighs in relief and asks her what took so long. Classic Damien. And just to ruin the cool moment, Victor finally makes his grand entrance, flanked by his own guards. He strikes a pose and yells, "I have arrived." Oh no, the Holy Church is here. And just like that, Cedric Walker goes into full-blown panic mode. If they're here, he knows they must be onto his little deal with the dark mages. Meanwhile, our boy Damien is casually pinching his servant Victor's cheek, scolding him for being late. You can almost hear him saying, "Are you trying to get fired, my dude?" The paladin points out that Victor at least did what she asked. And look at this guy puffing his chest out. Of course, I, Victor, can handle your orders if nothing else. Sure you can, champ. Alright folks, let's hit the rewind button. Turns out, a few hours earlier, our boy Victor had a very important delivery to make. Inside this church, a nun is trying to have a peaceful moment of prayer. Little does she know, her day is about to get a whole lot weirder. And here he comes. Victor bursts in, totally out of breath, carrying a sack and a book. He looks like he just ran a marathon while being chased by a ghost. The nun confirms this is a branch of the Holy Church. Victor then nervously explains that his lord sent him with some, let's call it spicy evidence about a dark mage. The nun's ears perk up at the mention of a dark mage. Her eyes widen as she asks to see the proof, and Victor hands over the book. She can immediately feel the bad juju coming off this book, a faint but very distinct dark magic. And then she sees the symbol carved into its cover. She opens the sack and plop, out tumbles the severed head of the dark mage. Victor lets out a shriek that could probably shatter glass. I mean, can you blame him? Her eyes begin to glow with a brilliant blue light. I finally found him, she thinks. One of the leaders of Yulan Agito. Wait, hold up, plot twist. She drops the nun disguise, grabs Victor by the collar, and demands to know who sent him. Her whole vibe just changed. And we're back to the present. She stands before Damien, her expression completely calm. Are you Damien Haxon? She asks. Damien confirms it's him. The paladin then announces that the church has the evidence and will be taking over the investigation from here on out. The governor and Cedric are sweating absolute bullets, but they agree not to interfere. The paladin actually gives Damien a small, thankful smile, and would you look at that smug face? Damien smirks to himself. Everything is going exactly according to his unhinged mastermind plan. See, Damien knows all about the Holy Church. On the surface, they're servants of God, all charitable and kind to the common folk. But when it comes to heretics and demons, they turn into a bunch of absolute fanatics who will not hesitate to go on a holy rampage. The vanguards of this zealous army are the paladins. And now, thanks to Damien's scheming, he's got them on his side. The paladin addresses the crowd, announcing that the church is officially investigating a dark mage collaborator right here in Landwork. And here's the kicker. She declares that until the investigation is over, the church will be in charge of the city. Talk about a hostile takeover. The governor and his knight Robert are completely outraged. They start yelling that Landwork is a self-governing city and the church has no right. The paladin shuts them down cold. Rooting out heretics is the will of God, she says. The authority of the church overrules the authorities of the kingdom. Ouch. But she is not done yet. She glares at them and adds, besides, you and your knight are our prime suspects. Double ouch. Robert is sputtering in disbelief, but the paladin just points a finger right at Cedric Walker. The man is a walking, talking red flag. That man is the one who hid and supported the dark mage. Just protecting him is suspicious enough, she declares. She's got a point. The governor furiously confronts Cedric, who denies everything, of course. But then the paladin holds up the grimoire. Checkmate, buddy. We have evidence, she says, explaining the book as a detailed ledger of every single item Cedric bought for the dark mage. Whoops. Cedric is trembling with pure rage. That blasted dark mage. Why would you write that down? Rule number 1 of crime, my friend. No paper trail. Cedric tries to plead that it's all a big misunderstanding, but it's too late. Paladin knights surround him and the governor. Take him, she says. They're both dragged away, shouting and struggling the whole time. This is definitely not how they thought their day would go. And there's Damien, watching it all unfold with a deeply satisfied smirk. You just know this absolute psycho planned every second of this. Cedric starts to panic, knowing exactly what these fanatics will do to him. In desperation, he calls out to his last hope. Sir Robert, are you really gonna surrender? These psychos are zealous enough to frame you just for fun. Robert goes quiet for a moment, then a grim look settles on his face. He's made a decision. He's not going down without a fight. Knowing that being taken means certain death, Robert unleashes his power. Boom! He breaks free from the knights holding him. He roars, "I'll kill them all and escape," as he swings his massive axe, aiming to take out literally everyone in his path. Cedric grins, thinking this is his chance to escape. But Damien just smirks. He knows Robert just made a huge mistake. How foolish. The paladin doesn't even flinch. She meets the giant axe with a single glowing punch. Yes, you heard me. A punch. The force of the blow sends a massive shockwave through the air, completely shattering the axe. Robert is just stunned into silence. Cedric's jaw hits the floor in disbelief. Look at that face. Damien, on the other hand, looks completely unsurprised. Classic Damien. The paladin's fist is glowing with intense blue flames. Those who disobey the will of God, whoever it may be, she begins, will be punished, God willing. And that, my friends, is how you shut down a rebellion. Don't mess with the paladins. With her holy power flaring, the paladin lays down the law for everyone to hear. Anyone who dares defy God's will is going to get the divine smackdown, no questions asked. And just like that, Cedric, the supposedly terrifying boss of the Black Snake, is on his knees, completely wrecked. As the divine cleanup crew gets to work, the corrupt Governor Baker is dragged away, screaming his head off. Watching the whole thing, Victor is like, wait, that's it? The big bad boss is just some fat dude? The rumors were way better. Cedric is absolutely fuming. He just cannot believe he got soloed by some random kid. His ego is completely shattered, folks. The paladin comes over to thank Damien, but our boy is already in full analyze opponent mode, realizing she's way stronger than she looks. He can feel her massive sacred power and immediately connects the dots. She's got to be an apprentice of the Azure Flame, Brigandine. For those of you new here, Brigandine is one of the 5 heavy hitters for the church, a guy famous for his non-stop crusade against heretics. Just thinking about the saint gives Damien flashbacks to the epic boss battles from his past life. The PTSD is real, my friends. The Paladin plays along with the official cover story, thanking Damien Haxon for his help taking down an officer of Yulan. She says as a reward, the church will look the other way on his extracurricular activities. Damien, of course, plays dumb. Whatever do you mean? Oh, but she's not buying it for a second. She's like, didn't you call us here to clean up your mess? And Damien realizes, oh snap, this one's sharp. Busted. Damien quickly bows and spins a sob story, explaining the Dark Mage didn't just curse his land, he tried to harm his family. And just like that, her entire expression softens. A weakness for family drama. Classic. She tells him that since it was personal, she'll let it slide. Damien's impressed. This paladin isn't as rigid as he expected. As a bonus prize, she says they'll get the bounty on the Dark Mage Agito's head and the payout will be processed right away. We're talking a whopping 1,000 gold pieces. Victor is losing his mind. That's buy a small castle's kind of money, people. But then Damien, our resident psycho, turns down the cash. He wants something else instead. Victor looks like he's about to have an aneurysm. The paladin is intrigued and agrees to hear him out. Damien asks for one of the church's secret mana cultivation techniques. A bold move. She's totally confused. Why would a guy who just single-handedly wiped out an entire gang need a beginner's guide to mana? But Damien knows the truth. He only won against the Dark Mage because he used a cheat code, the Archlich's authority. To face the real final bosses of this world, like the Archlich Dorgo and his commanders, he's gonna have to grind his own skills. His current mana technique is basically the level 1 tutorial version. He explains to her that he's only ever learned the most basic techniques. Her jaw just about hits the floor. She can already sense a massive aura from him. If he's telling the truth, his natural talent is completely off the charts. This kid's potential is S rank. She sees the potential, immense talent, and a willingness to destroy heretics. A light bulb goes off in her head. She gets a sly look on her face and asks if he might be interested in a much better alternative. A better alternative? Damien asks, taking the bait. Yes, she says, absolutely beaming as she holds out her hand. Have you ever considered becoming a paladin? After a dramatic pause, Damien looks her dead in the eye and just says, I'm not interested. Bam. Total rejection. She is completely shattered. Why would anyone on Earth turn down such a glorious offer? She launches into a full-blown recruitment rant about the glory of being God's chosen warrior, punishing evil, and all that good stuff. Meanwhile, Damien's thinking, yeah, no thanks. He has zero faith and zero interest in being a dog for the church. So, thinking on his feet, he decides to spin the most ridiculous lie he can possibly come up with. He puts on his best pious face and declares that he's not yet worthy of God's love. Victor can't believe the nonsense he's hearing. He continues, saying he wants to travel the world first as a humble devotee. Victor is sure there is no way this will work, but to his absolute shock, it works perfectly. The paladin is deeply moved by his sincere performance. She agrees to provide the technique and says that if he ever changes his mind, the church's door is always open for him. Damien just smiles and nods, all while thinking to himself, yeah, that is never ever going to happen. Realizing they never formally met, she introduces herself. My name is Agnes. I am the first apprentice of the Azure Flame. Damien knew it. So she's a big deal after all. He politely greets Lady Agnes, playing the part of a respectful noble perfectly. Now that the boring talk is over, Damien asks if he can get back to business. Agnes is confused but gives him the okay. He calmly walks over to the defeated Cedric, who immediately starts running his mouth and spewing curses. But before Cedric can even finish his threat, pow, Damien drives a fist straight into his gut. Then he adds insult to injury. Your belly's so fat, it's like punching a cushion. Ouch. Cedric tries to curse him out again, but Damien just shuts him up with a massive kick to the face. The force of the blow sends the huge man flying through the air. Agnes and Victor can only watch in shock. Damien lets out a satisfied breath. There, he says with a psycho smile. Now I feel much better. This kid has issues. A super nervous Victor whispers, Young master, is it really all over now? Damien turns to him with a confident smirk. Yeah, probably. That is not the reassuring answer Victor was looking for, my friend. Meanwhile, over at the fancy estate of the Lionbloom family, a whole new can of worms is opening up. Marquise Holland Lionbloom bursts into a room furiously screaming for his son Erwin. He finds the kid hiding under the covers of his bed, shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. Erwin peeks out from the blankets, his face pale with pure terror. Father? The Marquis storms over and yanks his son up by the collar, demanding to know what in the world happened. Erwin stammers that some guy tried to kill him with a fork. His dad can't believe his normally cheerful kid is now a trembling mess. Holland's face twists into pure murderous rage. Tell me, he snarls, who dared to do this to you? Under the furious glare of the marquis, the knight standing nearby finally spills the beans. It was Damien, of House Haxon. The name just hangs in the air as the marquis's expression goes dark. As the marquis's rage builds, the very room begins to react to his power, with a nearby vase starting to shake violently. Then his aura explodes, shattering the pottery into a million pieces. He's furious. What? That lowly Haxon dared to lay a hand on my son? He's already convinced himself that Damien must have used some kind of cowardly trick. There's just no other explanation in his mind. A terrifying, sinister grin spreads across his face as he gives a chilling order to his men. Send people to the Haxon estate at once and drag that kid here like a dog. Oh boy, here we go again. Just when you think things might calm down, bam! New visitors at the Haxon estate. It's Agnes, the paladin from the church, and she's brought along 2 friends in some very spooky-looking cloaks. Damien's parents are absolutely tripping over themselves. They look so scared you'd think the Grim Reaper just walked in, not a paladin in her entourage. But inside, Damien's dad is fuming. He's thinking, great, my troublemaker son has now invited a religious fanatic into our home. Our boy Damien, of course, couldn't care less. Agnes just casually announces her whole squad will be staying for a while. The Viscount immediately tries to weasel out of it, claiming their house is too small. A likely story. But then Agnes pulls out a big old bag of gold. And suddenly, the Viscount's tiny house has infinite space. Look at that greedy smile. Absolutely shameless. While his parents are practically drooling over their new loot, Agnes thanks Damien for his help. And Damien, he just shrugs. Classic too cool for school protagonist move. Okay, even our boy Damien is a little surprised here. He knew she'd ask for something else, but he didn't expect a full-on house call. He's actually flustered for once. Agnes gets serious. She says the investigation is one thing, but she's really here for another reason. And it's not about the case at all. Nope, it's about him. Oh boy, here we go. Look at that intense smile. That is not a normal smile, folks. And of course his parents are listening in from the doorway. They just froze solid. You could hear a pin drop in there. They 100% get the wrong idea. They think Agnes has a massive crush on their son. Meanwhile, little chibi Damien is just dying of cringe inside. But nope, it's not a confession. Agnes just hands over the mana cultivation manuals he asked for. Surprise. Damien's looking at the 2 manuals. Wait a minute, I only asked for 1. Did she get the order wrong? She explains it just didn't feel right to give him a cultivation manual without a matching sword technique. Aw, how thoughtful. Chibi Agnes is adorable, I'll give the artist that. So he gets the destructive sword technique and the destructive energy technique. Damien's thinking he doesn't really need them, but hey, free loot is free loot. But hold on. He checks them out and realizes these are some seriously high-tier techniques. He's never even heard of them, not even in his past life. Agnes admits getting these was a huge pain. Apparently, a lot of people in the church were not happy about her giving these away. In fact, she had to pull the May Master Said So card. And get this, her master thinks Damien is the chosen one they've been waiting for. The plot thickens. And then she grabs his hand, looks him in the eyes, and asks him one more time to become a paladin. The pressure is on. But Damien? He just gently pulls his hand back. Oof. Cold. He apologizes, and you can see the disappointment in her eyes. But to her credit, she takes the rejection like a champ. She even tells him the offer is always on the table if he changes his mind. A very graceful exit, I have to admit. Damien watches her leave, his face all serious and shadowed. You know a big brain thought is coming. His grand conclusion? She's a total fanatic, and her obsession is on another level. 0 confessions, 1 rejection, savage. Meanwhile, back at the villain's lair, Agnes's 2 sidekicks are on the case. Time for some classic bumbling detective work. One of them starts talking, and he's not buying the official story. He asks his partner, doesn't this whole thing seem a little off? He points out that the dead mage, Agito, was a big deal. This guy was a high-ranking dark mage who evaded the church for years. So how in the world did some random country noble kid take him down? The math just isn't mathing here, my friend. His partner totally agrees, but he's like, look, Lady Agnes isn't questioning it, so what are we supposed to do? So they decide to just drop it for now and finish up the paperwork. Typical grunts just trying to get through the day. And then, poof. Agnes appears right behind them. She declares that they can trust Damien Haxon. Talk about perfect timing. She tells them she understands why they're suspicious, but she's 100% sure he didn't lie. She's got his back. But one of the guys is still not convinced. He just can't wrap his head around Damien killing a pro like Agito. Then we get a flashback to Damien's explanation, and it's gold. He just smirks and says, I dodged and cut his head off. Simple as that. The subordinate is completely floored. He asks, are you seriously telling me he really just dodged and killed him? Yes, my dude. That's the story. Agnes confesses that she doubted him too. That's why she went full-on stalker mode and watched him fight the Black Snake Gang from the shadows. She saw him take on dozens of guys all by himself, and he didn't even get a scratch. He just absolutely styled on them. But the real jaw-dropper was when he deflected a magic fireball with his sword. That's not supposed to be possible. Her two subordinates are just staring with their mouths open. They're like, is that even a thing? Can people do that? Agnes says she's heard that true swordmasters can block anything, including magic. The implication here is absolutely huge. Now, she's not saying he would teach a swordmaster, but she is saying he's an absolute beast of a warrior. There's no doubt about it. And then she reveals her real plan. She wants to introduce Damien to her master. She sees him as a massive potential asset for the church. So she tells them to shut up, stop doubting, and get back to work. Case closed. Discussion over. Elsewhere, we cut to some new faces. A group of knights from House Lionbloom are riding across a field, led by some big blonde dude. An apprentice knight, Opus, is super hyped to be here. He's stretching and yelling like he just won the lottery. His buddy, Lavender, is a total city boy. He's complaining about the smell of cow dung. What a baby. Their bickering is immediately cut short when their leader tells them to be quiet. You can tell this guy doesn't play games. This is Garrick, an official knight of the Lionbloom family. He's got that classic I'm a jerk anime antagonist look. You know the type. They get to a hill overlooking the Haxon estate, and Garrick asks his boys to remind him of their mission. The mission? It's simple. Arrest Damien Haxon. Sounds easy enough, right? But Garrick just scoffs. He thinks a simple arrest isn't nearly enough payback for the humiliation his masters went through. Just then, some poor old man happens to be walking by with a cane. Wrong place, wrong time, my friend. Garrick calls out to the old man, who turns around looking all confused. He's staring up at these scary knights with glowing red eyes. After confirming the old guy lives on the estate, Garrick just strikes him down, without any warning. What a psycho. He declares that not bowing to the Lionbloom crest is a grave offense. This guy is making up rules just to be evil. His own men are totally baffled, and then you see this horrible, wicked grin spread across Garrick's face. Oh no, he's got an idea. His new plan is simple. They're going to roll up to the estate and drag Damien out into the open. And then, they're just going to slaughter everyone they see. Artist, you really went dark with this one. That kid's face is pure terror. This is not going to be pretty. Alright, so while our boy Damien is off grinding for his next level, Agnes and her crew are poking around the Dark Mage's collapsed lab. One of the paladins is like, ma'am, the whole place is a pancake. We got nothing. But Agnes is all smiles, telling them they did great anyway. What a supportive boss. But then one of her guys spots something. So, what is that? The classic what's that over there moment. You love to see it. And look who it is. It's Damien. Just chilling on a rock, like a discount anime sage, with this insane vortex of blue mana swirling all around him. He takes one deep breath, and boom, the energy just explodes around him. Talk about a power trip. Agnes and her pals are just frozen, their jaws on the floor. She's thinking, what in the actual heck am I even looking at right now? She recognizes it's the technique she gave him, but she's thinking, no way. I gave him this book a few hours ago. This is impossible. Damien finally finishes his meditation and opens his eyes, only to see 3 paladins staring at him like he's the last slice of pizza. The fangirling has officially begun. He just hops down, super casual, and asks if their investigation is done. Agnes, trying not to blush, just stammers out a yes. She's like, you seem to have made some progress. And our boy, with maximum Chad energy, just replies, just a little. Oh, the modesty. But Damien knows this is a huge deal. As a former swordmaster, the sword stuff is useless, but this cultivation method? My friend, that's the legendary loot drop he needed. See, this technique was literally designed to fuel the super OP destructive sword style. It lets him gather and absorb mana way faster. After a super awkward silence, Damien is like, so, it's dinner time. Wanna head back? The artist is even throwing in some comedic flowers to highlight the mood. But suddenly, Damien's whole demeanor changes. His spidey senses are tingling. He feels a powerful bloodlust heading their way. He turns to Agnes and says, vermin have arrived. Just like that. Agnes is left completely baffled. What is this guy's deal? He tells her he's got something urgent to take care of and that they should head back without him. The classic I have to go, my planet needs me exit. And then whoosh, he is gone. He just blasts off into the distance, leaving them in his dust. Agnes is just standing there completely stunned. She's thinking, wow, he's fast. But more than that, his mana control is insane to move that fast with so little energy. As Damien sprints towards the estate, his eyes glowing red with psycho mode activated, Agnes can only wonder, what even are this guy's limits? Meanwhile, back at the Haxon estate, things are going south. One of the knights is just wailing on poor Victor. Not a good look. They are screaming, calling Victor names and demanding his men bring him Damien Haxon. This guy has serious anger issues. But even as he's getting pummeled, Victor refuses to give him up. What a loyal dude. Lord Haxon sees this and makes a run for it. Dad Haxon is yelling at them to stop. The cavalry has arrived. Sort of. Paul rushes over to his loyal butler, horrified. "Victor, are you okay?" he cries. This is genuinely touching. He glares up at the knights, absolutely furious. He is asking how so-called knights could just attack an unarmed civilian. A very valid question. But Garrick just sneers from his high horse, saying this little beatdown is nothing compared to the dishonor Damien brought them. What a drama queen. And he gets all official, his eyes glowing red. "Writer, artist, we get it, he is the bad guy." He announces, "Marcus Lionbloom demands Damien Haxon." But Paul is not an idiot. He knows this is a trap. He expected some fallout, but this is just pure thuggery. Giving up Damien will not save them. And Garrick's psycho grin confirms it. Paul realizes that even if he hands over his son, these clowns are just going to burn the estate down anyway. Gritting his teeth, Viscount Haxon makes his stand. "I will never hand over my son," he declares. "Dad of the Year award right here." Garrick just smirks. "Well then," he says, "I guess we have no choice. Destroy everything until that little brat shows up." Paul screams in pure rage. But then a voice calls the knights mindless vermin as they charge forward. The voice is from a shadowy figure that appears out of nowhere, landing right behind them. "It is hero time, folks." Garrick is shocked. When did he even get here? One of his goons yells out, asking who this new guy is. "Dude, it is the guy you came for." Suddenly, this immense pressure slams down, freezing all the knights in place. Garrick starts to panic, thinking, "I cannot move. What is this power?" Damien ignores them for a second to check on his dad. Then, he looks down at the beaten and bruised Victor, and his expression gets dark, real dark. He turns to the frozen knights, his voice ice cold. "You are all lucky," he says. "If Victor had not been so tough, I would have beaten you all to death right here." Garrick actually scoffs, calling Damien a madman. "Feeling tough because you beat one noble with a cheap trick?" he taunts. "Petty trick?" Damien repeats, his face completely unreadable. "Oh boy, you just pushed the wrong button." So Garrick orders his goons to crush Damien's legs. The pressure lifts and the two stooges charge right in. Bad move, guys. Damien does not even move. He just lifts his arm and blocks the first knight's sword with his bare skin. The disrespect is real. And he's thinking, "This is perfect. I was just looking for some live test subjects for all this new mana I collected." Our boy is a menace. He channels his destructive energy and blue lightning crackles up the knight's arm. The dude starts screaming immediately. Yep, it works. Then, one punch. He sends the guy flying. He is literally thinking about how convenient it is to have live targets for practice, cold-blooded. The other knight, Ulpus, screams his buddy's name. Probably should have been paying more attention to the psycho in front of you, my guy, because before he can even blink, Damien is right on him, delivering a savage kick straight to the face. Ouch. And Garrick, the big tough leader, can only sit there on his horse, watching his knights get completely dismantled in seconds. Total shock. From the ground, Victor weakly calls out to Damien. Our hero turns to him, his psycho mode switching off for a second, and asks if he is alright. And Victor, bless his heart, bruised and battered, gives a shaky thumbs up and a weak little smile. The absolute loyalty. Damien is actually surprised by this. Then he lets out a little chuckle. Seriously, he thinks, you are a pretty interesting guy. And scene. The hulking knight, Garrick, just stares in utter disbelief. He seriously cannot believe this punk survived Erwin's master plan. He glances at his defeated men, then back at Damien. You can see his brain short-circuiting. How is this good-for-nothing so strong? But Damien just scoffs, standing over his family like a guard dog. You don't need to know, he says. Oh, the edge on this guy is real. And then you can almost see the one rusty gear in Garrick's head start to turn. A light bulb goes off. Oh boy, here we go. He points a shaky finger, his voice trembling with this grand revelation. You're not Damien Haxon. Meanwhile, Damien's dad and Victor are just looking at each other like, did we miss a chapter? The confusion is real, folks. Damien gives him the most unimpressed look I have ever seen. What are you even talking about? My man is so over this conversation. Garrick absolutely loses it, screaming, don't lie to me. He's convinced this is some big brain conspiracy to sabotage the Lionbloom family. Yep, he's fully committed to this fan fiction. He's now accusing Damien of being a paid actor hired to tank the Lionbloom rep. And Damien is just thinking to himself, wow, this guy is even dumber than he looks. Honestly, he is not wrong. So, done with trying to use his brain, Garrick decides to let his armored fist do the talking and just charges right in. Meanwhile, the other knight on the ground wakes up, takes one look at the situation, and wisely decides to play dead. Smartest guy here. From the sidelines, you've got Victor, the #1 hype man, screaming, win, my lord. You love to see the support. Garrick takes a stance, preparing to attack. Our boy doesn't even flinch. Garrick thinks he has this in the bag. His luck has run out, he's thinking. Just one more step into my attack range and it's game over. He screams, I'll split you in half, and lunges with a glowing super move that Damien just casually swats away. Whoops. With a smirk, Damien sends the big guy stumbling back. So Lion Bloom sent a proper knight this time, he says. The disrespect is off the charts. Garrick can't believe it. No way he parried my thrust. He decides it must have been a lucky shot and powers up his sword again. He unleashes a flurry of attacks, but Damien just stands there, blocking everything like it's nothing. You're too slow, he says calmly. Ouch. Garrick freezes, completely stunned. And then Damien says the magic words, my turn. His eyes start glowing and you know it's about to go down. Bam. A blur of slashes, way too fast for our boy Garrick to even see. All he can do is cry out in pain as he gets diced. And before he can even blink, Damien follows up with a nasty kick right to the helmet. Whoosh! Garrick goes flying and eats dirt. Hard. Standing over him, Damien says coldly, that one was for Victor. He's getting payback for his boy. But wait, he's not down for the count. Garrick, fueled by pure rage, struggles back to his feet for one last desperate charge. He unleashes his ultimate move, the Lion's Might, a giant wave of red energy claws. And Damien's reaction? How boisterous. He is so unimpressed. But that's all there is to it. With a simple gesture, a tiny blade of energy just zips out and poof, the ultimate attack is gone. In the next instant, slash. Damien is on him, slamming him face first into the ground. That's gotta leave a mark. And it's over. Victor is going wild on the sidelines, pumping his fist. He won. Yes, he did, Victor. Yes, he did. But our boy isn't unscathed. He's clutching his arm in pain. Meanwhile, Garrick is just a bleeding, groaning mess on the floor. Damien puts his sword to Garrick's throat, and suddenly the big knight finds his begging voice. I am Damien Haxon, you idiot, Damien states flatly. You should have begged earlier, he says, listing off the crimes. Trespassing, threatening his family, and making his servant even uglier. Okay, that last one is personal. Garrick starts stammering apologies, but Damien just gives him a look. You still don't know who you really need to apologize to, do you? Garrick is confused until Damien steps aside to reveal Victor and his dad, armed and looking ready for some payback. The look of terror on Garrick's face is priceless. And just like that, Garrick and his knights are thoroughly beaten. All they can do now is kneel and hope they don't get deleted from the server. But Victor, the loyal sidekick, isn't satisfied. He's literally asking Damien, hey boss, can I just hit the guy a little bit more? For fun? Damien tells him to chill, or the guy might actually die. But then our boy goes full psycho and suggests, how about we just chop off a limb or two instead? My man is not okay. Before Damien can start playing surgeon, Dad Haxon arrives to put a stop to it. He puts a hand on his son's shoulder, basically saying, that's enough crazy for one day. Garrick starts groveling immediately, but Paul isn't buying it. You can see him thinking, an apology? You think a simple my bad is going to fix this mess? He realizes if Damien hadn't been so OP, their entire territory would have been wiped out and his son captured. The stakes were seriously high. And with that terrifying thought, Paul just snaps. The knight can only beg for his life now. Paul pauses for a moment, his face turning to stone. You can see the gears turning in his head as he decides what to do. Damien's in a tough spot too. He's clenching his jaw, knowing that as much as he wants to, he can't just kill them. If he does, any chance of making peace with the powerful House Lionbloom goes up in smoke. It's a political nightmare. If he were on his own, he'd go all out. But with his family to protect, he can't be that reckless. Responsibility is tough, my friend. Still, if he lets them go, they'll just come back for revenge. He's totally stuck between a rock and a hard place. And just as he's out of ideas, a familiar voice calls out his name. Ah, perfect timing. It's the classic Deus Ex Machina moment, folks. It's Agnes, the paladin, running over. She sees the absolute mess and is like, what in the world happened here? Damien's eyes go wide. You can practically see the light bulb go on over his head. An idea is brewing. He's thinking, oh yeah, she's gonna be useful again. Our boy is always scheming, isn't he? So Damien gives her the quick rundown of the situation, and Agnes listens carefully, humming thoughtfully. She flashes a confident smile and says, if that's all you're worried about, I think I can help. Damien is all ears now. She explains that because of House Haxon, the church managed to take down a major executive from Yulin for the very first time. And as a reward, they can officially make House Haxon an ally of the church. Damien's face just lights up at the news. This is it. The get-out-of-jail-free card he needed. Meanwhile, Victor is whispering to Paul, is that really a big deal? Agnes asks if he'll accept, and Damien practically dives to grab her hand, saying, of course. A little too eager there, buddy. But on the inside, oh boy. A totally sinister grin spreads across his face. Writer, you are cooking. This was his master plan all along. As Damien walks off with Agnes, Victor asks his dad, did he just use his good looks to seduce her? And Paul's just like, don't worry about it. Damien turns back to Garrick, and that psycho look is back. Hey, he says, you all heard that, right? He orders the knight to run back to his masters and tell them House Haxon is now officially protected by the church. And if they even think about trying something with force again, they'll have to deal with the church's full power. His eyes start glowing as he says, "If you understand, then get lost." Artist, I love the glowing eye effect. Classic Chad move. Garrick and his crew don't need to be told twice. They scramble away while Victor yells after them that they got off easy. Victor's celebrating, thinking they're in the clear. But Damien knows this isn't over yet. Not by a long shot. Paul agrees. They've bought some time, but they need a real plan. And so it's time for a family meeting. The whole Haxon squad gathers in their fancy meeting room. We've got the whole gang here, including Agnes just chilling by the window. Paul lays it out. Topic number 1, what are they going to do about this massive feud with House Lion Bloom? And right on cue, Abel speaks up. Father, didn't we just get the church's protection? Why are we still worried about this? Louise has to explain it to his brother. She reminds him that they can't expect the church to solve all their problems for them. Paul elaborates, saying the church tries to stay out of noble drama. Plus, the Lion Blooms have more than just soldiers, they have influence. He reminds them that a powerhouse like the Lion Blooms could crush a small family like theirs in countless ways, not just through fighting. So Damien sums it up. Their only realistic options are to pay a massive bribe or find an even bigger noble to hide behind. But wait, just as all hope seems lost, Agnes steps forward dramatically. There is another way, she declares. She strikes a pose and drops the bombshell. Sir Damien Haxon could just become a paladin himself. What an idea. Damien is completely blindsided. He's thinking, wow, I did not expect her to throw that one in right now. The whole family looks at him, but Damien's response is simple and direct. I don't want to. Agnes looks crushed, and Paul just shrugs. Well, since Damien said no, I guess that option is off the table. Case closed. But Abel is not having it. He slams his hands on the table and yells, "Father." Paul just gives him this confused look like, "What's your problem, son?" Abel pushes up his glasses and goes off. Why is he giving up so easily? If Damien becomes a paladin, all their problems are solved. He points right at Damien, calls him a pain, and tells him to just do it. Damien glares back, warning him that it is none of his business. Bam! Abel slams the table, firing back that this whole mess is Damien's fault to begin with. So since this is your fault, he says, Paul interjects, "Sit down while I am asking nicely." Then this insane shadowy aura erupts behind him. Abel is officially terrified into silence. Abel just scoffs and sits back down, leaving everyone else in the room in a super awkward silence. You could cut the tension with a knife. Finally, Paul breaks the silence. He admits that Abel has a point about Damien causing the conflict, but says it's not the whole story. He explains that the Lion Bloom's son was a creep who was going after their sister Louise, no matter what Damien did. He concludes that Damien was actually protecting Louise, doing the job his powerless father couldn't do. Oof, talk about self-burn. Then he gets up and walks over to Damien. He puts a hand on his son's shoulder and Damien looks up asking, "Yes, father?" "You did well today," Paul says, looking genuinely proud. Damien is completely stunned. He was not expecting that at all. He praises Damien for standing up for their family's honor. Our boy is just speechless for once in his life. Damien just bows his head, saying he did what he had to do. Of course, Abel is still sulking in the corner like a baby. Paul declares he is taking over from here. He tells his wife it's his chance to finally act like a proper father. But just as they're having this nice family moment, there is a knock at the door. A butler comes in, interrupting everything. He announces a visitor from House Gold Pixie. Paul is confused. Why would a powerful duke be visiting them? The poor butler looks super nervous as he prepares to deliver the bad news. It turns out Damien borrowed a ton of money and used the family's wheat fields as collateral. The deadline's passed and Damien starts to panic. And just like that, all that fatherly pride vanishes. Paul's face goes dark and he starts trembling with pure rage. The artist gives him a full-on demon face as he grabs Damien by the collar and just roars his name. Damien. His furious shout of "You brat" echoes across the entire estate. Well, so much for that touching father-son moment. GG. Out of the frying pan and into the fire, my friends. Just when things couldn't get worse for the Haxon family, a new problem walks in carrying a purple pouch. Damien's like, I know this guy from somewhere. And yep, it's Olin Dimishil from Dash and Caches. He's here to collect a little debt. And we get a classic flashback. Turns out this slick salesman convinced our boy Damien to use the family land as collateral. What a genius move. Yep, this is the face of bad decisions. Damien is just now realizing he got played like a fiddle. Back to the present, and Damien is sweating bullets. He's probably thinking, past me was an idiot. He meekly asks for the bill. Olin, with the smidgest smile ever, says the 200 gold loan is now 300 gold. Damien's jaw just hits the floor. Meanwhile, Papa Haxon is about to have a heart attack. He knows they are completely, utterly broke and can't pay. And of course we get the classic worst-case scenarios vision. The whole family on the streets begging for change. How dramatic. Olen's like, pay up today or the land is mine. Paul tries to argue, saying it was just a formality. Rookie mistake, my friend. But Olen pulls out the big guns. He says Duke Gold Pixie himself gave the order to collect all debts. Can't argue with the Duke, I guess? And there it is. The friendly mask comes off. Olan basically says, show me the money, with a look that could curdle milk. But wait, Damien steps up. He calmly admits, yeah, I don't have the money. So much for a plan. Olen's a little thrown off. He probably expected more begging and pleading, not this calm confession. Artist, what is that grin? His surprise turns into this massive creepy smile. He just says, I see, chills, literal chills. Then the guy makes himself at home on their sofa. He's like, you shouldn't have borrowed money if you couldn't pay it back. No kidding, Sherlock. He gives a dramatic little sigh and snaps his fingers. You just know what's coming next. Yep, here come the goons. Their eyes are glowing and everything. Time for plan B. This guy is a real piece of work. He admits he knew they couldn't pay and that he enjoys their despair more than the cash. Ah, so that's his thing. He loves watching stuck-up nobles beg. We're getting a glimpse into his twisted little mind. Look at him. He's totally lost in the sauce. Artist, you did not have to draw him panting like that. I'm uncomfortable. Meanwhile, in another room, Papa Haxon is about to wear a hole in the floor from all the pacing. The ladies of the house are trying to chill, but the men are having a full-blown meltdown. Paul is yelling, pulling his hair out. Our family might be ruined. Yes, we know, you've established this. But look at Louise just sipping her tea like it's another Tuesday. She and Mom have faith in Damien. He's got a good track record so far. Dad is not having it. He's like, he's good with a sword, not with money. And we see Damien's negotiation style has started in another part of the house. One of the goons has already been yeeted across the room. Damien's holding the guy by his hair and says, oops. His biggest concern is that his dad is going to be mad about the wall. Priorities, my guy. The second goon gets brave and charges. Big mistake. Damien's hand starts glowing with that cool blue mana. And bam! A perfect palm strike to the chin. This dude is now airborne. So much for plan B. He lifts the guy by his throat and gives this psycho grin. You drew a sword on a noble, so this is just self-defense, right? And Olan, our smug loan shark, he's screaming his head off. His whole tough guy act just evaporated. Damien strolls over to the trembling moneylender, a towering presence. He just says, hey, loosen up your legs, he commands. I'm not sure what that means, but Olan immediately drops to his knees. He's not taking any chances. So Damien says again, I can't pay you back. But then he gets an idea. You can see the light bulb go on over his head. He grabs the poor guy's face with a bloody hand and asks, how about I repay you in another way? This is peak intimidation. What else is Olan going to say? He just stammers out a yes. I think he just agreed to anything. Cut to the next day. Abel is putting on a full Shakespearean performance about how justice was defeated by violence. So dramatic. Meanwhile, Mom and Sis are just being normal, wishing Damien a safe trip and telling him to eat well. Dad has had enough of the drama club and literally drags Abel away. Just cheer for your brother, you big baby. But on the inside, Dad is still worried. He has no idea what Damien's psycho plan actually is. On his way out, Damien bumps into Agnes. She's all like, oh, leaving so soon? What a shame. He's polite, thanking her for the help. She mentions her team is also about to bounce. Convenient timing. She gives him a holy blessing for his trip. It's a nice gesture, I guess. She tries one last time to recruit him for the Paladin Club, but Damien shuts her down so fast it leaves a sonic boom. No, I won't. Cold. Alright, goodbyes are done. Damien turns to his ever-enthusiastic sidekick Victor, who confirms they are ready for liftoff. They get into this surprisingly bougie carriage. And who's there to greet them? Our boy Olan, looking like he's about to wet himself. Aha. So this is the plan. Olan is now their personal concierge, promising 5-star service. This is amazing. Damien is loving it. He's like, great, let's get lobster for lunch. Olen's face is pure confusion. Where are they gonna find lobster? Damien gives the signal. Victor is hyped as always, ready to go. This dude's energy is infectious. The horses rear up, the wheels spin, and they're off. Classic dramatic departure shot. Love it. And with a final smirk, Damien announces their destination. All right, let's get moving. To House Gold Pixie we go, and just like that, they arrive. Victor and Olan can only stare with their jaws on the floor. Behold, the Gold Pixie estate. This place is so over the top, it makes you wonder if their toilets are made of solid gold. Damien, smooth as ever, thanks Olan for the ride. He even promises to remember him if things go well. Yeah, right? But oh, look at that face. Olan is smiling on the outside, but inside he is absolutely fuming. He cannot believe Damien treated him worse than a dog on the trip over. I mean, massaging his legs? Come on, man. So he waves and wishes Damien good luck while secretly hoping the whole plan crashes and burns. Can't say I blame him. Damien just smirks, tells them he will be back, and strolls off like he owns the place. Victor, of course, is his #1 cheerleader. Alright, inside the mansion, Damien finally meets the man in charge. Time for the boss battle. And surprise, surprise. The Duke of the Apple Kingdom, Adam Goldpixie, already knows who he is, calling him the infamous troublemaker of the Haxon family. Damien just laughs, acting all honored. But in his head, he's thinking all these nobles are the same old trash. Our boy is a psycho, I'm telling you. He gets straight to the point, asking why the Duke was even looking for a guy like him. Turns out, Damien borrowed a ton of money from the family's lending business, and now the bill is due. He's completely broke, but he has got a proposal. Classic main character move, always having a backup plan. Instead of cash, he will offer a service. He's going to defeat the rival Lion Bloom family to clear his debt. What a Chad. The entire room goes dead silent. The Duke and his knights are just stunned by this guy's absolute audacity. The guard knight Gal Heimlich starts laughing. He figures it out immediately. Damien must have heard the rumors, and he is 100% right. Damien knows exactly what has been going on in the kingdom. See, a massive gold mine was found on the border between the Gold Pixie and Lion Bloom territories. To settle who gets the mine, the two families planned a proxy duel using their low-class knights. It is like a medieval fantasy boxing match. But here's the kicker, folks. Thanks to his past life, our boy already knows exactly how this duel ends. He remembers it clearly. A single, shadowy warrior standing over a field of defeated knights. The final score? An overwhelming victory for the Lion Blooms. Total domination. With all that new gold, the Lion Blooms expanded their power while the Gold Pixies got seriously nerfed. So Damien's plan is simple. If he can help the Duke win this time, his debt gets wiped clean. And as a little bonus, he gets to stick it to the Lion Bloom family. He really does not like them. Duke Adam is intrigued. He asks if the rumors are true that Damien single-handedly crushed the Lion Bloom's second son and a whole organization. Damien just gives a little smirk and says, well, they are not all just rumors. So cool, so edgy. The offer is clearly tempting. The Duke admits he has been looking for a strong knight for this very duel. But one of the knights scoffs. He is like, who could possibly fight the eldest son of the Lion Blooms? He is a supposed genius. The Duke puts the pressure on Damien, asking if he can really take down a certified genius. Damien just grins and says the genius might be good, but he is just as good. The confidence on this guy is off the charts. But the skeptical knight is not having it. He warns the Duke not to trust him, saying rumors are always exaggerated. This knight, Ernst Howitz, says he will find the perfect candidate himself. He even mentions a mysterious Miss Chelsea. Another knight chimes in, saying Miss Chelsea has been out scouting for a month to find a worthy fighter. They are totally confident she will come back with some legendary warrior just like she always has. Ernst and his little fan club stand there looking all smug. They really think they have shut Damien down. Damien is getting annoyed. These guys are messing up his perfect foolproof plan. You can see the psycho mode activating. The Duke, enjoying the drama, just turns back to Damien. He is clearly testing him, waiting to see what he will do. And Damien knows exactly what this is. Looks like he will have to give them a little demonstration. He looks right at the knights and tells them they are gravely mistaken. The mood just shifted, did it not? He declares that no matter who this Miss Chelsea brings, they will not be as good as him. The knights are disgusted. I am too, but it is hilarious. So to prove his point, Damien makes a wild proposal. He will let Ernst hit him with his ultimate attack, and he will block it. Ernst is absolutely furious. Who is this nobody? But look at Damien's face. Artist, you need to chill with these psycho grins. Ernst begs the Duke for permission to teach this kid a lesson. The Duke, finding this incredibly entertaining, just calmly agrees. With a little smirk, the Duke says, very well, I permit it. Let the games begin. Cut to the dueling hall where Ernst and Damien are facing off. This escalated quickly. Victor is on the sidelines, totally panicking. Damien just tells him to chill out and stay back. It just kind of happened, he says. So casual. Meanwhile, Ernst is powering up, his body exploding in a fiery aura. Victor is thinking, I feel like you are the one in danger. Yeah, no kidding. The Duke gives the signal to begin. Begin, Sir Howitz. And we are off. Ernst slams his spear down, offering to forgive Damien if he gets on his knees and begs. Oh, the ego. Damien's response? A giant, bored yawn. He tells him to just get on with it. That was the final straw for Ernst. Boom. Ernst's spear starts glowing with this intense blue aura. It is go time. He unleashes his ultimate attack, the very one Damien challenged him to show off. For just a split second, Damien thinks to himself, maybe I pissed him off a little too much. You think? Screaming his head off, Ernst dives straight down. That spear is radiating pure power aimed right at Damien's face. He closes the distance in a flash. A total blur of blue energy heading right for our boy. Damien thinks the attack is pretty impressive for a mid-tier knight, but since he knows where it is going, It is not a big deal. The arrogance is back. Clang. The sword meets the spear in a perfect block. The precision is insane. Damien does not even budge. He just absorbs the impact with a burst of his own energy. A shockwave ripples out. The tip of the spear shatters into pieces against his sword. But wait, Ernst is grinning. Idiot. He sneers. You fell for it. Oh no. It was a feint. The broken shaft of the spear keeps going, impaling Damien straight through the chest. Whoa. Victor and the Duke can only watch in absolute horror as Damien gets run through. Well, that is not good. Bam. The duel ends in a flash, as the broken spear shaft impales Damien straight through the chest. Victor and Duke Goldpixie just stare in horror, while Victor lets out a classic shonen scream for his young master. But hold on. Instead of collapsing, Damien digs his heel into the ground, stopping his momentum completely cold. Ernst cannot believe his eyes. He's thinking, what? No way. He somehow endured my surprise attack? Meanwhile, Duke Adam Goldpixie is watching this whole thing from his throne with a completely unreadable expression. This guy is a mystery. With a grimace, Damien just yanks the spear shaft out of his chest and smirks. The representative position is mine now, right? Victor rushes to his side, frantic with worry, but Damien just tells him to chill out. That hurts, you bastard. Suddenly, applause echoes through the hall. It's the Duke. He's genuinely impressed. You really endured Howitz's blow. Incredible. A slight smile plays on the Duke's lips. He's thinking, he was downplayed, but he was really capable. He really is something. Standing before his vassals, the Duke makes his decision. As promised, I raise Damien Haxon as representative. Ernst tries to protest, but the Duke shuts him down with a single word and a terrifying glare. Enough. I'm in a good mood. Don't screw it up. Ernst, meanwhile, is trying to figure out what just happened. He's thinking, darn it, how did this happen? I definitely felt that my attack was going to land. But here's the twist, my friends. It was all an act. Our boy knew it was a feint and let himself get hit to make a more convincing show. His level is already well past middle class, and he used a last-second mana shield to avoid any real damage. This guy is a cunning psycho. The Duke approaches him, looking all concerned. You must have internal injuries, so I cannot just watch. He activates a ring, opening a portal right in the middle of the hall. Damien is shocked. That's a super rare subspace magic tool. From the portal, the Duke pulls out a small, ornate box. This is a present for you, he says. Inside are 5 glowing golden pills. The Duke calls them the balance pill and says he paid the alchemy school a hefty amount for this. And Damien hits the jackpot. It's another supplement that increases his physical abilities. Our boy loves his performance enhancers. The Duke explains it's also good for internal injuries. Damien, of course, gratefully accepts the free loot. With a pat on the shoulder, the Duke tells him, I look forward to your work in the future. Damien confidently agrees, yes, sir. The next day, Damien is already in the training grounds, stretching and feeling the effects of that new pill. The supplement definitely has a good effect, he thinks, noting his internal injuries are almost completely healed overnight. Talk about a buff. He admires the Duchy's top-notch training equipment, happy he can finally start grinding for real. Suddenly, a voice calls out from above. Are you Damien Haxon? A wild challenger appears. Damien looks up to see a smug-looking young man. Yes, but who are you? He asks. The man grins. Haha, I am Pavel Bermond. This guy has side characters written all over him. 2 more men appear behind him. And these are my blood brothers, Pavel announces. We are also dueling knights here to partake in the duels. Pavel explains they were training outside yesterday. Lucky you. If we had been there, it would have been us teaching you a lesson. He warns Damien not to drag them down with his laughable ability and tells him to leave so they can train. The nerve on this guy. Damien walks away, thinking this is a perfect chance to size up the Duchy's other knights. Good. Let's see what these clowns can do. The knights begin their training with overly dramatic poses and names, like starting position immovable Akalanatha. Seriously, who names these? The 2 brothers spar, declaring this is their 987th battle. You'd think they'd be better by now. The duel reaches a bizarre climax as Pavel dodges a strike and blocks his opponent's sword with his forehead. You cannot make this up. His opponent is stunned. As expected of you, Pavel, to predict my attack and block with your forehead. I'm speechless, folks. After their intense battle, the 3rd knight gets pumped up, wanting to fight next. These guys are a whole comedy troupe. The 3 buffoons huddle up, vowing to defeat Lion Bloom for the honor of the Duchy. Yeah, good luck with that, boys. They end their pep talk with a cringe-worthy cheer. All for one. One for all. Artist, what are these demonic faces? Watching from the sidelines, Victor asks Damien what is wrong. Damien's face says it all. We're screwed. He clenches his fists, telling Victor they're completely screwed. I have no confidence in winning with those idiots. I don't blame him one bit. Duke Goldpixie absolutely loses it, finding the whole situation hilarious for a so-called high-class knight like Gale. He pokes the bear, asking Gale for his honest opinion. But our stoic knight here insists it doesn't bother him one bit. Sewer, it doesn't, buddy. And here we go, cue the mandatory flashback. The night before, Damien politely told the Duke thanks but no thanks on his generous offer. He'd rather grind solo, which is a bold move, my friend, considering he just snubbed the renowned Gale Heimlich. Back in the present, the Duke is still chuckling. He has to admit, Damien is one interesting character. So he turns to Gale and pointedly asks for the official assessment on their new champion. Even Gale has to give him props, admitting that blocking Howitz's strike with such precise mana control is no small feat. Alright, enough small talk. The Duke cuts to the chase. What are their actual chances of winning the duel against House Lion Bloom? Gale lays it out. It's a best 2 out of 3. No matter how OP Damien is, he can't carry the whole team alone. The Duke agrees and asks if their other knights are training properly. Gale assures him Sir Vincenzo, a mid-class knight, is handling it. Meanwhile, out in the training grounds, Damien has just realized he's facing a massive, unexpected problem. He watches the other knights goofing off and realizes they're not just dumb, they're in terrible shape. With this level of skill, they're doomed. With a heavy sigh, Damien decides he has no choice. He's got to step in and fix this mess himself. Of course he does. He strolls over and calls out, "Hey, you 3 punks over there. Real smooth, dude." The knights are immediately offended. Damien simply offers, "Let's have a sparring match." Pablo smirks, thinking this new kid has guts. He volunteers to go first and teach him a lesson. But Damien shuts him down hard. "You misunderstand. I don't want to fight just you. I want all 3 of you to come at me at once." Oh, the absolute madman. The trio is stunned silent for a moment. Then boom, they erupt in fury, calling him an arrogant brat. They accept the challenge. They say it's against the knight's code, but a beating is the only cure for a mad dog. The irony is palpable. And they're off. All 3 of them charge forward, throwing their fists right at Damien's face. And Damien? He remains completely unfazed, his expression calm as their attacks are about to connect. In a flash, it's all over. Pablo finds himself on the floor, dazed and extremely confused. He sits up wondering what just happened, only to see his 2 companions knocked out cold beside him. "You're finally awake?" Damien's voice cuts through his confusion. A truly classic line. Damien stands over them, declaring them just as pathetic as he thought. The poor page boy is panicking in the background, by the way. Pablo is horrified. This was just a lesson? He remembers attacking, but everything after that is a complete blank. Alright, writer, hit us with the action replay. Just 5 minutes ago, the 3 knights had charged in, full of confidence. But Damien's movements were on another level entirely, effortlessly dodging their clumsy punches. With his eyes glowing, he moved like lightning, blocking their strikes and setting up his counters with ease. One by one, he just laid them out with brutal, terrifying efficiency. This isn't a fight, it's a takedown. A devastating punch here, a vicious kick there. It was a complete and utter beatdown, folks. And we're back to the present. The knights are in shambles, unable to comprehend what happened. What kind of monster is he? Damien stands over them, not even breathing hard. "I didn't even break a sweat. What a total Chad." He addresses the defeated trio. "Who's been training you?" Pablo stammers that they're being trained by Sir Vincenzo, a mid-class knight. You can feel the disappointment. Damien scoffs. A mid-class knight is responsible for this? He thinks about telling them to just quit, but decides not to cause more trouble. Instead, he gives them a new order. "From now on, you'll be sparring with me daily. Welcome to hell, boys." Pablo worries that their trainer will notice they're getting beat up, but Damien just gives him a little smile. "Don't worry," he says with a sinister grin. "No matter how much I hit you, your bodies won't have a scratch on them." Pablo suddenly realizes it's true. Despite the thrashing, they're physically fine. He can't understand how it's even possible. Damien cryptically explains that back in the day, he learned a very specific way to beat people. Time for a story. He recalls a legend about a man known as the Character Corrector, who roamed the continent reforming criminals. His method was brutally simple. He just beat his target for an hour straight, no questions asked. If that didn't work, he'd double the duration. The longest he ever went was a mind-boggling 512 hours. Eventually, even this guy felt pity for his bloodied victims. He wanted a way to administer a beating without causing fatal harm. Through this, he mastered a legendary and frankly terrifying technique, the traceless strike. Damien explains that this is the secret art he just used. A way to inflict intense pain without leaving a single mark. You could call the FBI on this guy. He drives his point home, asking if they finally understand how utterly weak and worthless they are. "Ouch, dude. But don't worry too much," he says, holding up a single finger. "We've got a month until the duel. In that time, I'll turn you worthless bugs into useful bugs." The most backhanded pep talk of all time. The 3 knights just look up, completely stunned by his insane declaration. The poor page boy watches on, probably wondering what new brand of chaos Damien is about to unleash now. Just then, the Duke's attendant comes running, calling for Sir Damien. Talk about dramatic timing. He breathlessly informs Damien that His Grace, the Duke, is looking for him. But before he can explain why, a new elegant figure makes her grand entrance. Well, hello there, Lady Chelsea has returned. Ah, speak of the devil. Right as Damien is getting his debrief, a new character logs into the server. It's the Duke's eldest daughter, Chelsea Gold Pixie, and she's here to make everyone's day worse. And look who's happy to see her. It's Ernst Howitz, the guy Damien just embarrassed. He probably thinks she's here to save his reputation. Spoiler alert, she is not. The Duke gets straight to business, asking if she found a champion for their duel, and with a smirk that screams, "I am about to cause problems," Chelsea says, "Oh, you bet I did," and her champion is this guy. The absolute unit behind her stands up and bellows, "I am Guillermo Blackwing, the wild beast." Subtlety is clearly not his strong suit. The other knights immediately start whispering. They know this dude's gamer tag. Apparently, he's a famous merc known for farming low-level players during a war. Real classy. Even the Duke seems impressed, noting that no low-tier knight could ever beat him. Guillermo just laughs, loving the attention. "Yeah, I am kind of a big deal," he says. Chelsea puffs out her chest, announcing that Guillermo has sworn loyalty to her and he'll be their fighter. She's so proud of her new, very violent pet. She's totally confident he can take down their rival, Michael Lion Bloom. I mean, look at him. He is built like a brick outhouse. The peanut gallery agrees. They're whispering that if Michael is still grinding for max level, Guillermo is already at the endgame content. Oh, we love some good hype. But wait, plot twist. The Duke does not look thrilled. He says, "Yeah, that is great, but we have a small problem." When she asks what, he reminds her he has not introduced his pick yet. He points to the door and instructs our boy Sir Damien Haxon, looking like he owns the place. You can just feel the awkward tension spike. And Chelsea's face just goes dark. "What do you mean? You told me to wait." The Duke stone cold replies, "I said you could wait. I never said I would." Ouch. Savage dad move. She puts on this nasty little smile and tells him to switch the representative. And the Duke just goes, I will have to think about it. He is absolutely toying with her. That is when Chelsea completely loses it. She starts screaming that there is nothing to think about, calling Damien a total nobody. She is looking at him like he is something she scraped off her boot. Guillermo the tank steps up, trying to intimidate Damien. But as our boy gets a closer look, wait a minute, that face seems familiar. Uh-oh. The Duke shuts his daughter down, reminding her that Damien blocked Howitz's ultimate skill. You can see poor Howitz physically cringe in the background. Do not remind him. Chelsea is just thinking to herself, "You just cannot admit I am good, can you?" She knows he is just salty and looking for any reason to dismiss her. Dad mode activates. The Duke scolds her for being so rude. Chelsea gives this super fake apology, blaming it on being tired from her journey. Yeah, right. Damien is just watching this family drama unfold. The Duke, clearly fed up, just tells everyone to knock it off and that he will sort it out later. Case dismissed. But then, Guillermo starts laughing. He has got a better idea. Why talk when you can just, punch things? Ignoring the Duke's "I am so done with this" face, Guillermo gets right up in Damien's personal space. He suggests they fight it out to see who is the real champion. Chelsea tries to tell him to shut up, but the Duke surprisingly agrees. You know what? He is not wrong. And Chelsea is just standing there completely stunned. The Duke turns to Damien, testing him again. Damien agrees the strongest should represent them, but says a whole brawl seems like overkill. He has got a point. So he suggests a simpler test. Let's figure out who is stronger right here, right now. No need to wreck the nice office, folks. Guillermo loves this idea. He grabs Damien's hand for an arm wrestle and threatens to rip his arm off. Classic tough guy dialogue. But Damien just smiles back, and folks, it is not a friendly smile. He says he will be merciful and only dislocate his shoulder, as if, oh, the psycho is coming out to play. And before Guillermo can even process that, bam! Damien uses the big guy's own momentum to judo flip him through the air and slam him onto the floor. Uno reverse card. The entire room just freezes. The Duke and his knights are speechless. Chelsea is just standing there going, "What just happened? I will tell you what happened, you just got owned." Gal, the old knight, is impressed. He gives us the play-by-play. Guillermo went for raw power, but Damien used pure technique and speed to counter him. It was a perfect throw. So Damien proved he is not just a meathead, he has skills. Guillermo gets back up, absolutely furious. "How dare you humiliate me?" he growls. And Damien just smirks at him. "You are tougher than you look. I was actually trying to pop your shoulder out." The disrespect is just magnificent. Okay, that is it. Guillermo goes full Super Saiyan. He screams, whips out his giant axes, and starts glowing with a scary purple aura. Somebody's rage quit. Chelsea screams for him to stop, but it is too late. He is already in the air, axes high, yelling, skull open. Well, my friend, I think he means business. Okay, so getting tossed like a sack of potatoes did not sit well with Guillermo. He goes full rage mode, roaring as he whips out his glowing purple axes. And he screams, "Your skull," as he comes crashing down. Our boy Damien, though, not even flinching. What a Chad. But just as Guillermo is about to redecorate the floor with Damien's brains, a new challenger enters the ring. It's Gale Heimlich, the Duke's personal guard knight. He just says stop, and the whole vibe changes. You dare brandish your weapons in front of the Duke like that? Oh, he is not happy. Look at that glowy green aura. And here it comes, the classic line. With a look that could curdle milk, he asks, "Do you want to die?" And just with his aura alone, he forces Guillermo to his knees. The guy got nerfed by a single glare. My goodness. Even Damien is impressed, thinking, yep, that's a high-class knight. All right, no kidding, Sherlock. We all saw it. Gal then turns to Chelsea and gives her the final warning. For your honor, I'll let this slide once. There won't be a second time. And poor Guillermo is just left panting on the floor, completely defeated. His rage quit the server. And then, who starts slow clapping? The Duke himself. So a little private commotion was there. He says, totally amused. He looks between Damien and Chelsea and makes his call. I think it's best Sir Damien keeps the representative spot. But of course Ernst the Weasel can't accept it. Your Excellency, that wasn't a fair fight, he whines. His excuse? Guillermo was tired from his trip, so Damien had an unfair advantage. Bro, are you serious? Damien is just done. Ah, this piece of work again, he mutters. We feel you, Damien. We really do. Ernst keeps going, arguing you can't test a weapons master in a fistfight. Buddy, your guy lost. And Chelsea, bless her heart, actually backs him up. We need a fair comparison. An official duel. The Duke has had enough of this nonsense. Chelsea, stop forcing the issue, he says, getting stern. She screams, Your Excellency, but bam, he slams his hand on the desk. Stop bragging about your own incompetence. Oof. That shut her up real quick. Chelsea realizes she messed up. I was discourteous, she says, and starts to dip. Even Ernst flinches, knowing he's probably next on the chopping block. But then Damien speaks up. Your Excellency, may I say something? Oh, what is this psycho planning now? Can I accept Lady Chelsea's offer? He asks. And just like that, the entire room goes silent. Everyone is shocked. The Duke just watches, clearly intrigued by this plot twist. This is better than reality TV for him. A little later, poor Victor is having a meltdown. Young master, why did you accept the duel? Damien just tells him to chill out, saying he has a plan. Damien then spots a sign with 2 crossed hammers. Is this the smithy the Duke mentioned? He asks. He remembers the Duke offered to get him a new sword. And look, he's confident he could win with a stick. But who turns down free legendary loot? Inside, Victor announces they're here on the Duke's dime. The smith just nods, saying he was expecting them. He leads them into a showroom, and holy cow. Look at all this gear. Victor is losing his mind. Damien smirks. Want one too, Victor? And Victor, ever the opportunist, immediately asks if he can get something expensive. But then Damien's eyes lock onto one specific sword. You know the look. He's found his soulmate. The smith explains it's a special one. A custom order for a knight who had to leave on an emergency mission. Convenient, right? Damien asks, was this made with unified ringing steel? The smith is completely floored. How did you know that? Because our boy recognizes the style. It's from a legendary master, the sword musician. Of course he knows this. Of course. Without even thinking, Damien says, I'll take this one. The smith is shocked he'd want it, knowing how tricky the metal is. Damien explains that this metal doesn't just boost mana, it creates mana waves. He then asks what the sword's name is. The smith remembers the original owner planned to call it the 1,000-Mile Sword. Sounds appropriately epic. And with that, Damien sheathes his brand new sword. He looks way too satisfied with himself. Just as they're leaving, a woman's voice calls out, Find a weapon you like, Sir Damien? A maid, flanked by 2 huge guards, gives a little curtsy. Nice to meet you. I am Rebecca, and I serve Lady Chelsea. She says her lady wants to meet, but Damien's not interested. He says he's got nothing to say to her. But Rebecca gives him this sly smile. Who knows? My lady has more than you think. You might get something you need. Damien can tell she's trying to butter him up for some reason, so he agrees. Fine, lead the way. This should be interesting. She takes him to a super fancy restaurant. Lady Chelsea owns this place, she says. Reservation only for nobles, of course. And get this, she says they cleared out the entire restaurant just for him. Okay. Now it feels like a trap. She's waiting inside. Please, go on in, Rebecca says, opening the door. Don't do it, man. It's a trap. Damien takes one step and then freezes. He catches a familiar, dangerous scent in the air. Uh-oh. Inside, Chelsea is sitting all alone, pouring wine. You're a bit late, she says, cool as a cucumber. She raises her glass, her eyes glowing red, and gives him this seductive smile. Hurry and sit, Sir Damien hacks him. Yeah, this is definitely a trap. Damien cuts right to the chase, asking why he's here, but Chelsea's playing it cool, suggesting they wait for the food. Yeah, right. Our boy is not here for small talk, though. He crosses his arms, giving her the classic I'm an impatient protagonist look, and demands she get to the point. Alright, fine. Chelsea leans in with that classic villain smirk, you know the one? She holds up her wine and says she has just one little condition. And her big demand? Damien has to step down as the representative for the duel. Just like that. Damien scoffs, guessing she doesn't trust her own champion. But she immediately shuts that down, saying a guy like him is basically a tutorial-level boss for Guillermo. She claims she's just trying to preserve his strength for the real fight. It would be a pain if he got injured. Sure you are, Chelsea. Damien seems to be considering her point, but let's be real, folks. Our boy isn't about to fall for this. He asks the million-dollar question, what's in it for him? Chelsea makes a bold promise, step down and she'll grant all his wishes. She laughs, thinking she has him all figured out. A country noble like you? It's obvious. You want money and fame. Wow, the arrogance. You can see the exact moment Damien's patience stat hits 0. His expression hardens. He is clearly not amused by her terrible read on him. Damien points out the Duke can give him all that. But Chelsea plays her trump card, suggesting it's smarter to side with the future Duke instead. As she flips the hourglass, a purple aura erupts from her, swirling around the room. She's so confident this little light show will make him agree. The magic washes over Damien, but he just smirks, completely unaffected. Then he drops the coldest line, I don't want to. Chelsea is stunned. This isn't how it's supposed to go, she stammers. Damien's grin widens. He knew about her charm fragrance's trick all along. So get this, folks. She was using a type of dark magic that creates false affection to manipulate people, a classic villain move. But thanks to all the dark magic knowledge he's been grinding from his past life, he sensed the trap the moment he walked in. At this concentration, anyone else would be her mind-controlled slave in an hour. But his authority of greed skill just slurped it all up like a magic smoothie. Damien stands up and throws her own words right back in her face. She's getting frantic now, demanding to know why he's rejecting her. He turns to leave, telling her that what he truly wants is something she can never, ever give him. Now that's a power move. She screams for an answer and he says it plainly, my family's happiness. Chelsea is left completely dumbfounded. As he walks out, Damien leaves her with one final message, tell Guillermo Blackwing to prepare well for the duel. She bites her lip and a flicker of understanding finally crosses her face. Your family must be really important to you, huh? So she tries a different tactic, a direct threat. If he doesn't step down, she'll send someone to completely crush House Haxon. That was the last straw. In a flash, Damien is on her, slamming her back onto the table. Welp, so much for dinner. His hand closes around her throat, his eyes glowing with red malice. She chokes out, how dare you, let go. Just then, her guards burst in, completely horrified. Lady Chelsea, how dare you lay your hands on her? And they charge right in. Without even letting go of Chelsea, Damien draws his sword. In a blur of motion, he unleashes a flurry of strikes. This dude is a menace. The guards collapse to the floor, stunned and bleeding, but still alive. Damien coldly informs the guards their wounds are shallow. Turning back to Chelsea, he says that simply ending her would be too merciful. He walks towards the door, leaving her with a chilling smile and a promise she should look forward to the horrific things coming her way. Yikes. As Damien leaves, Chelsea is left trembling on the floor while her two defeated guards just kneel there. What a scene. Her maid, Rebecca, rushes in, frantically asking if she's alright. Girl, does she look alright to you? Chelsea's terror boils over into pure murderous rage. That bastard, I'll kill him. No matter what, I'll kill him. She screams for someone named Mustang Fury, and this portly dude in a strange mask appears. Seriously, artist, what is up with this design? She demands to know why the charm fragrance failed. He guesses Damien must have a rare immunity to dark magic. You don't say. That is not the answer she wants to hear. You fool, she screams. And smack, she hits him right across the face. She then asks for her champion Guillermo, only to learn he's out drinking to blow off steam. With the duel just a day away, she is furious. Mustang Fury tries to calm her down, boasting that Guillermo is a masterpiece of Yulan with unmatched dark magic affinity. Sure. He promises that their organization, Yulan, will hand her the House of the Duke. Big promises from the guy in the smiley mask. Chelsea leans in, her voice dripping with venom. You better keep your word, otherwise you'll die first. Meanwhile, perched on the roof just outside, Damien has been listening in the whole time. Classic protagonist eavesdropping powers, activate. Later that night, our boy Damien is back in his room admiring his shiny new loot while his squire is passed out in the corner. But hold on. He feels a familiar, nasty energy. The name Yulan echoes in his mind. Oh great, it's those dark mage clowns again. And all the pieces click together. Chelsea Gold Pixie is definitely in on it, and that weird vibe from Guillermo was 100% dark magic. So with a casual flick of his finger, Damien sends a wave of pure mana through the sword, making it hum with power. Womb? He figures trying to explain all this is way too much effort. It'll be much more fun to just show the Duke what's up tomorrow. The next day, it's showtime. Guillermo Blackwing makes his grand entrance, stomping into the arena and roaring for the crowd like a superstar. Pablo and his crew are watching from the sidelines, and even they have to admit that the guy is an absolute unit. Pablo figures that based on reputation alone, Guillermo is the clear favorite to win this thing. The odds are not looking good for our boy. His buddies, on the other hand, are thrilled. They're hoping this means they'll finally be free from Damien's demonic training regimen, freedom. But Pablo just sighs. As much as he wants to see Damien lose, he just has a feeling it's not going to happen. He's seen what Damien can do. The two champions face off. Guillermo gives Damien a smug look, clearly impressed that he didn't just run away. Big mistake, pal. Damien's response? He just yawns, stretches, and complains about a stiff shoulder. The level of disrespect is absolutely legendary. Just then, Duke Gold Pixie makes his entrance, announcing that he's just a little bit late. Fashionably late, of course. He declares that as promised, the winner of this match gets the high-stakes prize of becoming the family's official representative. From the sidelines, Chelsea scoffs at her father. She's completely confident that her boy Guillermo is about to secure the win. The Duke just smiles, drops a handkerchief to the ground, and shouts, "Let's begin the duel." And it is on, folks. Guillermo immediately summons his twin axes, both crackling with that sinister purple energy. Accepting this duel was your mistake, he growls. He roars, "I'll show you why they call me the wild beast," and charges, bringing his axe down with everything he's got. Here it comes. But that massive magic-infused axe is stopped cold by Damien's single finger. Let me repeat that. A single finger. Guillermo's eyes go wide. The pure, unfiltered shock on his face is just priceless. His brain has officially stopped working. Boom! The backlash of energy sends Guillermo flying backward. He crashes to the ground, asking, "What the heck was that just now?" Chelsea and Rebecca are speechless, but the Duke just looks amused. "That's quite the unusual technique," he says, enjoying the show. Furious, Guillermo screams, "You night bastard! What kind of weird sorcery?" But poof. Damien teleports right behind him mid-sentence. Bam, Damien blasts him point blank in the back, sending the big guy stumbling forward like he just got rear-ended. Before Guillermo can even recover, another blast hits him square in the face. Wham! He goes crashing to the ground again. He pushes himself up, seething, "You little bastard." But Damien just looks down at him and says, "Enough fooling around." Damien then unleashes a massive pillar of divine light that slams down on Guillermo, who screams as dark energy erupts from his body. Everyone watching is completely stunned. The sheer power on display has left the entire audience, including the Duke, totally speechless. And then, things get gross. Guillermo starts choking and then violently vomits a torrent of disgusting black sludge all over the arena. The Duke is baffled, asking what's happening. But Chelsea knows exactly what this means. Her face turns pale with horror. She's so busted. Yep, the dark magic is being forcibly purged from Guillermo's body. Turns out that power-up had some seriously nasty side effects. Damien stands over the defeated man, his point proven. "So, your true nature has finally been revealed." Guillermo is exposed as a total fake knight. And just like that, the fight is over. Damien stands over Guillermo, who's looking more like a kicked puppy than a knight, and declares that the jig is up. The big reveal, folks. Guillermo isn't a real knight. He's a total fraud. Duke Gold Pixie looks absolutely floored. His bodyguard, Gale, though, he looks about as surprised as a rock. Even Pablo and his crew are just staring, their jaws on the floor. You can practically hear their brains short-circuiting. Damien confirms it with a smug little smile. Turns out, Guillermo was just juicing with dark magic to buff his stats. What a cheater. And now the whole room is freaking out. You can't just hang out with dark mages, my friends. That's a one-way ticket to getting cancelled by the church. The nobles are whispering like it's high school gossip hour, but the Duke, he's gone into full-on thinking mode. The Duke finally speaks, asking Damien if he knew this whole time. Damien just bows and gives a classic "my bad, I had my reasons" apology. And here's the twist. He says he let it all play out just so he could expose the real puppet master behind the scenes. Our boy is playing 4D chess. Suddenly the Duke is all ears. A mastermind, you say? He leans forward, totally hooked on the drama. Then Damien drops the first bombshell. The dark mages aren't just some random bad guys, they're right here in the Duke's house. And for the grand finale, bam! He points straight at the Duke's daughter, Chelsea. The betrayal level is over 9,000. Chelsea immediately goes into panic mode, crying to her daddy that it's all a lie. The acting is not great, honestly. But it looks like Dad of the Year already had his doubts. He is absolutely furious that she brought this mess into his family, and he doesn't even hesitate. The Duke just points and orders the guards to arrest his own daughter, cold. The guards waste no time. They haul the useless Guillermo away like a sack of potatoes and start closing in on a very panicked Chelsea. She knows it's game over. In a last-ditch effort, she screams for her personal knights to save her. This is getting good. And her loyal knights actually do it. Swords are drawn, and it's a mini-civil war in the middle of the throne room. All for her. The Duke looks so done with this nonsense. He just sighs and tells his OP bodyguard, Gale, to go clean up the mess. Gal just starts walking forward like he's going for a stroll in the park. These other knights might as well be garden gnomes. He says 2 words, step aside, and boom, a massive wave of aura just explodes from him. This guy's power level is ridiculous. Chelsea's knights get absolutely wrecked. You can see the pure terror on their faces as they realize they just picked a fight with a final boss. They know they're toast, so they yell at their precious lady to run for it. A for effort, F for execution. But Gale is like, nope. He says how unfortunate, and then whoosh. He moves so fast he's just a blur zipping right past them. Chelsea turns just in time to see the attack fly right past her head. The poor girl is about to have a heart attack. And when the dust settles, all her knights are on the floor, knocked out cold, with their swords broken into a million pieces. Total ownage. She stumbles back to her feet, looking like an absolute mess. Her face is a perfect mix of I'm going to kill you and please don't kill me. Gal just stands there, radiating pure intimidation. You can see his reflection in her terrified eyes as she just screams at him. She scrambles backwards and her eyes land on her last possible hope. The old veteran, Sir Ernst. Please save me, she begs. And you can see poor Ernst over there, totally conflicted. His loyalty is really being tested right now. And he makes his choice. Ernst steps up, putting himself right between the unstoppable force and the very movable object. Meanwhile, Damien is just watching from the sidelines, probably thinking, what an absolute idiot. And honestly, he's not wrong. Gal gives him the professional courtesy speech. Hey Ernst, you've been around a long time, the Duke respects you. But Gale continues. If you get in my way, Ernst knows what's next and powers up his blue aura. He's actually going to fight him. I will execute you on the spot. And bam. Gale brings his sword down with so much force it's insane. No holding back. Ernst is trying his best, bless his heart, but you can see him sweating buckets. He is completely, totally outclassed. And then snap. His spear just shatters into pieces and he's forced to his knees. Welp, that was a short fight. With her final bodyguard nerfed, the guards grab Chelsea. She's still screaming for her dad to believe her. It's not working. The Duke has officially run out of patience. He just tells her to shut up, calling her a worthless thing. Ouch, Dad. He goes on a full-blown rant saying she's ruined the family name and that having her was his biggest mistake. This is some prime-time family drama. Chelsea is a sobbing, screaming mess as they drag her away. The Duke can't take it anymore and just orders them to shut her up. So a guard just clamps a hand over her mouth and that's the end of her protests. What a way to go. And Damien just watches the whole chaotic scene play out. He gets a front row seat to Chelsea's epic meltdown as she's dragged off. And once the coast is clear, he lets out a tiny, satisfied smirk. All according to plan. This guy is a menace. Alright folks, deep inside a stone dungeon, someone is having a really, really bad day. And by bad, I mean the sizzling hot poker's kind of bad. The unlucky guest is one of Chelsea's cronies, and he is singing like a canary to the Duke's guard knight, Gale. After squeezing out all the info he needs, Gale gives the nod. That's enough, he says. Bring in the next one. This guy is cold as ice. He muses that, yep, just as he suspected, Chelsea was using dark mages. Meanwhile, in a filthy cell, a beaten and bruised Chelsea is curled up on the cold stone floor, looking completely broken. But she forces herself up, her eyes burning with pure defiance. She is not about to go out quietly. She can only imagine talking to her father, and whose fault do you think this is? And cue the sad sepia-tone flashback. We see a much younger, happier Chelsea. All she ever wanted was for her dad to acknowledge her. But dear old dad just slaps the gift away, shattering the wreath and all her hopes along with it. What a guy. Back in the present, tears stream down her face as she screams at him, demanding to know why he still looks at her with such cold, empty eyes. Later on, a guard pops up outside her cell. He slides a single piece of bread through the bars saying, Lady Chelsea, I've brought your meal. Chelsea eyes the food, her pride having a full-on battle with her starving stomach. Welp, hunger wins. She snatches the bread and eats it like a wild animal. She refuses to let it end like this. No matter how humiliating it gets, she vows that she is going to survive. The guard just watches with a grim look on his face. We shift scenes to our MC stretching and casually decides his training for the day is done. Just then, a servant comes running up. It seems His Grace, the Duke himself, has summoned him for a little chat. Next thing you know, Damien is kicking back in a luxurious room with the Duke, who's pouring him a glass of some very fancy wine. Damien takes a sip and compliments the vintage, and the Duke is just eating it up, totally delighted. Changing the subject, Damien brings up Chelsea. He says he's decided to let the church handle the situation. How charitable of him. The Duke seems surprised, but Damien claims he feels guilty. Then the Duke drops some bad news. They lost all the dark mages. Damien is annoyed, probably thinking he should have just handled it himself. He tells the Duke they'll let the church track them down to avoid suspicion. He asks if Chelsea talked, but the Duke shakes his head. Apparently, she's one tough cookie, refusing to break even under intense torture. The Duke stares off into the distance. She was not always like this. Uh-oh, here comes the tragic backstory monologue. He reveals that Chelsea's mother was a commoner he met while hunting. One thing led to another, and soon she was pregnant with his child. At first, he was in total denial. Then he was just plain ashamed that someone with low birth was carrying his bloodline. Real classy dude. So when she and the child showed up at his door asking for help, he cast them out. He literally slammed the door on his own daughter. Years passed, and out of curiosity, he finally ordered an investigation to see what happened to the child he abandoned. He learned the mother had died of the plague and that Chelsea had survived all alone. So he finally brought her into his household. The Duke laughs bitterly, admitting it was a rare act of compassion for him. He supposes he did it because she was family. Damien listens, silently wondering if just being called family was what Chelsea truly wanted all along. The Duke speculates that maybe all of her evil schemes were just a twisted, desperate attempt to finally earn his acknowledgement. He sighs, lamenting the life she could have had, before blaming his sudden emotional outburst on the alcohol. Sure, it was the wine. Suddenly, a panicked servant bursts into the room shouting for the Duke. This can't be good news, folks. He stammers that something terrible has happened to Lady Chelsea. The Duke's eyes go wide with absolute shock. Back in the dungeon, 2 guards are staring in abject terror, because Chelsea has hanged herself in her cell. Well, that escalated quickly. Our boy Damien is getting a serious earful from his servant Victor. And for what? For being a complete and utter slob. Damien, of course, plays dumb, asking, "What did I do?" Victor absolutely goes off, reminding him about Laundry 101. You know, you have to separate your underwear. He's basically calling Damien a selfish, inconsiderate laundry disaster. And the list of laundry crimes continues. The ultimate sin, leaving his socks inside out. Damien just zones out, probably thinking about more important things, like murder. They finally reach a door where Duke Gold Pixie is waiting. Damien peeks through, putting on his serious face. Time to switch from laundry mode to political intrigue mode. Okay, quick time skip. It's been 4 days since Chelsea Gold Pixie's death. The official story is suicide. But come on, my friend. We all know that's way too simple. The interrogations of her friends and associates are also wrapped up. Everything is just a little too neat and tidy, don't you think? To add insult to injury, they give Chelsea a pauper's grave for endangering the family. They disowned her even in death. Real classy, guys. So on the surface, the huge scandal rocking the Gold Pixie Duchy is over. The storm has passed. Or has it? But Damien's internal monologue is kicking in. He knows this is just the calm before an even bigger storm. His enemies are just getting started. And just as he's getting all deep and broody, Victor snaps him back to reality. Hey, are you even listening to my very important laundry rant? Damien just sighs, calls Victor a whining brat, and throws an arm around him. Classic big brother move to shut down a lecture, and it totally works. Later that night, we cut to a sketchy dark alley. We meet Sir Ernst Howitz, and my man is not having a good night. He's completely wasted. He stumbles and collapses against a wall, looking like an absolute wreck. This is rock bottom, folks. He whispers Lady Chelsea's name and cue the sad flashback. You knew it was coming, the tragic backstory is loading. In the memory, a young, adorable Chelsea asks if her father would like some flowers she picked. She's just too pure for this world. Ernst is totally flustered. He's like, I don't know, no one has ever given me flowers before. Awkward, but so sweet. She tells him her mom taught her that flowers have magic to bring people joy. This kid is just pure sunshine and rainbows. Then she explains these are the same flowers that were blooming when her parents first met. The sentimental value is off the charts. She hits him with the ultimate cute attack, asking, so you will be happy too, right? How could you say no to that face? And boom, his heart just melts. He breaks into a huge smile and agrees. Of course he is happy, you little angel. Then snap back to the miserable reality. The happy memory just makes it all worse. He completely breaks down, sobbing that he couldn't protect her. The guilt is so overwhelming he just straight up punches himself in the face. Yikes. That is some serious self-loathing right there. He screams at himself, calling himself a dumb bastard who should have protected her. Man, artist, you are really pouring on the tragedy here. His roar of pure agony echoes under a blood-red moon. You know, just in case the mood was not dramatic enough for you. Just as he is catching his breath, a mysterious voice calls his name from the shadows. Perfect timing for a new plot point to walk in. And look who it is. It's Rebecca, Chelsea's personal maid. Well now, what is she doing in a place like this? Ernst is completely floored. He stammers out her name like he is looking at a ghost. Rebecca? And that shock immediately turns into pure rage. He lunges and grabs her by the collar. He went from 0 to 100, real quick. He snarls, asking what nerve she has to show her face here. He is clearly blaming her for what happened to Chelsea. She tries to explain, but he is not having it. He calls her a filthy dark mage who is sleeping with the enemy. The plot thickens. He is about to snap her neck, but then she screams the magic words that stop any angry man. Help me get revenge. That stops him cold. Revenge? And then Rebecca drops the bombshell. The whole suicide story? It is a complete lie. She claims Chelsea actually died from torture, which triggers a horrible memory for Ernst. He remembers seeing her beaten and bruised body. He demands proof, but Rebecca plays the emotional card. Think about it. Would the Chelsea we knew ever do that? It is a good point, honestly. She says she heard it from the people who recovered the body, that there were signs of torture all over her. And seriously, artist, you did not hold back on this panel at all. She describes wounds so awful that no normal person could have survived them. This is turning into a full-on murder mystery. Her final accusation? The Duke himself staged the suicide to cover it all up and hide the family's disgrace. Talk about a scandal. And Ernst totally buys it. He knows the Duke is scummy enough to pull something like this. The seed of revenge has been planted. Rebecca admits she got close to Chelsea for selfish reasons, but says Chelsea treated her like a real sister. Is this genuine, or is she just a good actress? She grabs his hand, looking all dramatic, and vows to get revenge on the entire duchy. This girl is intense. She cries for his help, and bam! Purple magic erupts from her necklace and engulfs him. Oh, it is a trap. The spell works perfectly. His eyes go full purple glow mode, and he numbly asks, "What do you want me to do?" He is completely under her control. He drops his wine bottle and mindlessly walked off, a perfect pawn in her game. And who should appear from the shadows but Mustang Fury? He is pleased his little mind control trick worked on a decent night. He gives us a quick magic lesson. Everyone has a weakness in their heart, and if you exploit it, enchantment becomes easy mode. For Sir Howitz, that weakness was Chelsea, and Rebecca just laughs sadistically, calling him a stupid fool. Wow, she went from sisters to evil villain real fast. She sneers that the poor guy does not even know who really killed Chelsea. Surprise, it was them. They orchestrated the whole thing. Rebecca whines that she does not like Damien, but Mustang reminds her that they have to go after him. Too bad, he says, he is the target. Turns out, their church spy confirmed Damien killed Agato. For messing with their mysterious boss's plans, Damien has to go. He gets a villainous smirk, happy that Damien has no idea who they are. They have the element of surprise on their side, and they plan to use this chance to strike hard while no one is looking. They are convinced they have the upper hand and vows to end him. In the dead of night, our boy Damien is trying to find his inner peace, meditating like a true protagonist. But of course, peace and quiet are for other people. He senses some shady figures lurking nearby. So naturally, he goes Super Saiyan. His aura just erupts, shattering all the training swords around him. Kaboom! A shadowy figure lunges, but Damien, with his own eyes glowing, is already in God mode and easily meets the attack. He just casually swats the guy away like a pesky fly, sending him tumbling through the air. And who is this poor soul? It's Pable, one of the knights he's supposed to be training. Talk about a rough first lesson. Yep, all 3 of his trainees are down for the count. What a great teacher, folks. 10 out of 10. He even has the nerve to call them pathetic for failing their own ambush. I mean, he's not wrong, but geez, man. He announces that sparring is over, and you can just see the pure terror in Pable's eyes. He thinks he's about to be unalived. The knights are floored. The training is over? Did they hear that right? Is the nightmare finally ending? Pable is so happy he's not going to be a human punching bag anymore. The relief on this dude's face is just priceless. Damien tells them to rest up. They've got a big match against the Marquis family in just 2 days. He instructs them to stop sparring and just think about what he's taught them. Oh, this is going to be good. The other 2 knights are completely lost. They're like, what did he teach us? He just beat us up. Finally, someone said it. Damien knows they're clueless. His real goal was something much bigger. Always playing 5D chess, this guy. But then he notices Pable, the human punching bag, is actually thinking. Is that a wrinkle forming on his brain? Seeing that at least one of them has a few brain cells, Damien smirks. He thinks they've got this in the bag. Alright, fast forward 2 days. We're at the Leafy Plains for the big proxy duel between the 2 houses. The Duke asks Damien for his take on the enemy forces, and Damien's like, yeah, they're pretty stacked. He notes they're not just rocking good gear, these guys actually have skills. This won't be a walk in the park. The Duke just laughs, admitting his rival might be a fool, but at least he knows how to train his soldiers. Just then, Gale announces that a messenger from the Marquis is requesting a little pre-game chat between the leaders. The Duke grins, tightening his grip on the reins. Alright, let's go say hello. Meanwhile, in the enemy camp, Marquis Lion Bloom is trying to wake up his son by kicking his bed. Dad of the year, right here. A sleepy kid sits up, complaining about the noise. This is Michael Lion Bloom, and he is not a morning person. His dad is yelling about how important the duel is, but Michael could not care less and just rolls over. The Marquis gives up and declares he'll face Damien himself, and that name suddenly gets Michael's attention. Suddenly very interested, Michael asks why Damien is with the Duke. His father explains he's their champion. A sinister grin spreads across Michael's face as his eye glows red. Well, that works out perfectly for me. Later, the two factions meet. The Duke and Marquis immediately start bickering like an old married couple. Then they share this big, crazy, we hate each other but kinda respect each other laugh. You know the type. Gao tries to be the adult in the room, so the Marquis immediately tries to poach him, calling his current job a waste. The Marquis then lays eyes on Damien for the first time, and the Duke proudly confirms his identity. His face darkens. He recognizes the name of the man who single-handedly defeated his son and his knights, but as he stares, he feels a strange unease. Why would a high-class noble like him feel tense around a nobody? He wonders if Damien's potential is so great that it might even be on par with his own son, Michael. Suddenly, he looks at his son. Michael is staring intently at Damien with a slight blush on his face. Oh, wait, what? Without warning, Michael's eyes glow red as he draws his massive sword and lunges directly at a very surprised Damien. That's a wrap on this recap. Hit that subscribe button to help us keep pumping out awesome content. Catch you in the next one.